Test, test. The time is 6:30. I would like to call this regular Board of Education meeting to order. The first item on our agenda this evening is the call to order for those Board of Education members who are present. Trustee Goodrich, could you perform the roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam President. Trustee Sutton Kennedy.
Present.
Trustee Fields.
Here.
Trustee Goodrich, I'm here. Trustee Townsend.
Here.
Trustee Espy. Here. Vice President Lee.
Here.
President Hawkins.
Here. We have all Board of Education members present. The next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to invite those in attendance to stand and join us in reciting of the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, that takes us to achievements, awards, and recognition. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Madam President. At each board meeting, the board invites one of our wonderful buildings and their scholars to come and share points of pride. Today we have Erickson Elementary School led by their principal, Dr. Cassandra Sharif, and I know she has brought with her some wonderful scholars today. You're welcome to come to share your points of pride.
Thank you for having us here today. I just want to acknowledge our parents who are here, who brought the students here today. We thank you for your participation and your support. And we'll have our students come up to read our points of pride. They'll introduce themselves. Okay.
Hello, my name is Mackenzie Guyton. Point of pride. Our curriculum night was a big success. Families and staffs had fun with a chili cook-off and won prizes. Over 100 students and families came to celebrate our school and the learning in our classrooms. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kyrie Davis, point of pride number 2. We're excited to announce the kickoff of our Makerspace STEM program on January 14th, a fun family STEM night. This event will spark interest in science, technology, engineering, and math while making learning fun for our students.
My name is Rose Redden. Hello, my name is Rose Redden. That's more like it. Point of pride number 3. Erickson held a Penny Wars fundraiser that pulled our school together. In just 2 weeks, we raised over $800 to provide Thanksgiving baskets for families in need.
Point of pride number 4. We are thankful for the 180 program who helps families in need. At our school, they give toys and clothes to them on the holidays.
Point of pride number 5. We deeply appreciate our partnership with Mosaic Church led by Pastor Shannon Nielsen. The consistent donations of food and time have greatly benefited our staff and families, including the recent provision of hand-packed weekend mailboxes for every student until SNAP benefits were restored.
Hello, my name is Rose Redden. Point of pride number 6. We are especially proud of our winter choir concert held in December, marking the first event in 3 years. The concert was a great success, featuring students who sang, danced, and narrated, with over 100 families attending to enjoy cookies and hot chocolate together. Point of pride number 7. Erickson successfully implemented its first out-of-school time before school academic program, which has been well received by our community. The morning program has serviced over 30 students, offering academic enrichment in literature, math, STEM, and cultural activities. We look forward to future grant-funded initiatives to further enhance students' academics.
Thank you, Dr. Sharif, and thank you, Erickson Scholars. If we could have all of our parents, caregivers, and staff from Erickson Elementary School to stand and be recognized, please do so at this time. Outstanding job, Erickson Scholars.
Can I ask what grade are they? Students are in?
Hello, I'm in 4th grade.
Fourth grade. I am too, also a fourth grader. All right. All fourth graders, all right. Thank you again. Next, I will take the next, I will turn over the next appreciation over to Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Madam President. January is Board Appreciation Month. This is from the Michigan Association of School Boards that reminds us that the key to a brighter future for Michigan's children is a strong public education system. Every day, students count on public schools to help prepare them for a successful future. Whether they understand it or not, they count on adults across the state ensuring they have access to resources to help them learn, keep their buildings safe, and have qualified teachers to guide them. It takes a pure, unwavering commitment to a community to make this all possible. Yet, at the end of the day, the true superheroes contributing to the success of our scholars are just ordinary citizens with extraordinary dedication to public schools. Those are our school board members. These individuals approach their volunteer work like it is a full-time job, and I can say that these board members definitely do so. And even for some, they value their work on the board as more important than their chosen profession. Their job is to establish a vision for the education program, design a structure to achieve that vision, ensure schools are accountable to the community, and strongly advocate for continuous improvement in student learning. The job of a school board member is tough, the hours long, and thanks few and far between. Too often, we're quick to criticize school board members without really understanding the complex nature of their decisions. We have to remember to take time to thank them for their untiring efforts. The month of January marks the observance of School Board Recognition Month. This is an opportunity to show our year-round appreciation for these servant leaders and begin to better understand how local trustees work together to prepare today's students to be tomorrow's leaders. We encourage you to join with others throughout our community, state, and nation to salute the individuals who provide grassroots governance for public schools. And so at this time, I'd ask our team to come and support the gift for our Board of Education. In the back, they also have received a certificate of appreciation from the Michigan Association of School Boards, and it reads for each one of them, "For your dedication to our children and public education in Michigan." It has the board member's name, my name, Ypsilanti Community Schools, and it's signed by Dale Wingert, the president, and Don P. Wartuba, CAE and executive director. Let us give a round of applause of Thanksgiving. Thanks to our school board members.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zachary Ross, for those very kind and heartfelt words expressing appreciation for the school board. Would any other school board members like to say anything at this time?
I just wanted to say thank you for sharing appreciation, and then also just, thank everyone for being here and for volunteering your time. I've enjoyed my first year as a school board member, working with you all. I appreciate all of the support and all of the extra time that everyone has put in to support my onboarding into this role and everything else, in addition to everything that we are already doing, and just share some additional appreciation for you all as well.
Thank you, Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Any other comments from the board?
Hi. Also, I'm within my first year, right? We're coming up with, this is our anniversary of our 1 year of service, which is super exciting. And I just want to thank all of you for supporting our onboarding, giving us a friendly look, guiding us in the right direction. I also want to just thank the community for continuing to show up, our scholars for continuing to show up and doing the work. We do this work for you, for our schools. You've entrusted us with the leading of our district, and so I really appreciate that and that faith you've put in us, and I don't take that lightly. So thank you, and again, thank you to the folks on this school board. Thank you to Dr. Elena Zachary Ross. Just has been a really amazing steward of the district, and deeply appreciate the time you all put in every day, particularly also your cabinet, who sit quietly and silently in every board meeting for hours and hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Espy.
I'd like to thank you. This will be my 12th year on the board. I'd like to thank the community for putting their faith in me. I'd like to say I know I haven't been showing up that much in the year 2025 because of family commitment, but family is good now. My son is home. He's doing good. I got my mom under control a little bit. Just a little bit. Being 83, that's hard to do, but she's under control. This year is going to be a good year. I'm able to free up time now to really dive deep and really commit to this board. And I'm looking forward to doing my job on this board and saving my kids in this community. So I'm ready to get to work, and I'm excited to get to work, and we got work to do, and I'm here. So thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. Thank you, Cabinet. Thank you, Board. Thank you for all your support, and I'm ready to go.
Thank you, Vice President Lee. Other board comments?
I would just quickly like to also thank everyone that we are working with, the overall team, the board, administration, superintendent, our teachers. I especially like to thank our scholars and our parents, because that's why we're here. I would love for Rose Redding to take my place. That's a nice name. Well, anyway, so I just want to say thank you for always supporting us as board members. this job is not easy. Most people think we just come to one meeting. We do several meetings in a month and then also attend the school activities. But it is a blessing and a privilege to do so because, our students are our most prized possession in this community, and it is always an honor to serve our youth. So, thank you, and let's keep it moving.
Thank you, Trustee Townsend. Yes, Trustee Goodrich, and then Trustee Fields. Or were you first, Trustee Fields? Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. All right.
Well, I'll just briefly follow up everyone else's expressions of gratitude. Thank you so much for the kind words, and ditto to everything everyone said. I'm looking forward to working with all of you in the next year as we apply ourselves to our service and support of our scholars and the community that elected us. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Trustee Goodrich.
Okay, I ditto everything that everybody said, so I don't want to repeat all of that. But I just do want to say thank you to the board, to everybody, the support that we have. I think we're a good team. We work well together. We're here for the scholars, like we said. If it wasn't for them, there would be no us. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why we're here. I want to thank Dr. Zachary Ross and her team for all the support that they have. We work well, as we come together and try to make sure that we are doing the right thing for the community. And I want to say thank you to the community for trusting in me, believing that I can do this job and that I am here for whatever it takes to get these kids together and make them happy and get them everything that they deserve and need. That's what I'm here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fields. And I won't repeat, but I will echo the sentiments already shared by the board. I had to do the math 3 times in my head, and I was like, this cannot be correct. But this is my 15th year on the board, and it has been an important and a humbling journey. And I just thank this community for continuing to trust me to serve this district. I appreciate everyone who has a hand in making sure our scholars, our educators, our paraprofessionals, all of our educators, no matter what their titles are in our district, we can't make this happen without people showing up every day and being committed to making sure our scholars have everything they need in our school system. And I also want to just say a huge thanks to our community for being engaged, for being involved, for showing up, for believing in us. I say it every year, and I think it's important to say every year, when we brought 2 different districts together, we didn't know what the future would hold for this district. And to see where we are in 2026 is absolutely astounding. To see the progress we've made over the years and to see the lives that we've touched in this community, from seeing our scholars enter at kindergarten and then to see them and usher them through as they walk across the stage at graduation. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and especially this board who works tirelessly behind the scenes. A lot of work is unseen. This board is committed to the work, engaged in this community, travels to conferences for professional development opportunities, and shows up for YCS students. And I think a big part of our success as a board and as an 8-member team with our superintendent has been the fact that we have placed our scholars front and center. Every decision we make, everything that we do is driven by what is best for every scholar in this district. So I just want to say thank you to the community for allowing us to serve. And thank you to everyone who is part of this team every single day, from us all the way down to, everyone in the district who has a hand in making sure everything happens every single day in and day out for our scholars. Thank you again, Dr. Zachary Ross. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure over all these years to work alongside you. And I would be remiss if I didn't give Ms. Haynes a big shout out for keeping us together. So thank you. Next, that takes us, any other comments before I move on? All right. Next, that takes us to the acceptance of our agenda. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Trustee Sutton Kennedy.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Sutton Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to before we move on to our next agenda item, I want to make sure we take a moment because I didn't read it after we acknowledged the board for Board Appreciation Month, which is our mission statement, which reads as follows. Our YCS mission statement: the purpose of YCS is to develop mindful, engaged students with the skill set, work ethic, and attitude to contribute to a community that honors diversity, equity, and justice. Next, board members, that takes us to item 5 on the agenda, which is our first public comment portion for this evening. Ms. Haynes, have any public comment card? I see you walking this way. While you're walking this way, I will read the public comment protocol. Pursuant to Board of Education Policy 0167.3, the board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express their views. Please limit statements to 3 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. No person may address or question board members individually. All remarks shall be made in a respectful and professional manner. I would like to invite up Miss Letitia, is it Harry? Horry. Thank you, Miss Letitia Horry.
Good evening, Board. With me, I am with our Washington Intermediate School District Bridge team, and I am a wraparound facilitator and coordinator, care coordinator for that team. I have the pleasure of working with a number of our students across our district, especially here within YCS. The 2 students that stand here with me are 2 students that are, with their parents' permission and with the guidance of Dr. Sharif at Erickson, have worked really hard to make very significant areas of improvement. This young lady here came in a little late because her parents went to the wrong building, but we thought it was very, this was a huge reward for them to work hard for their behavior goals and knowing the importance of participating in community. So if you would allow it, I would like for these 2 students to just, especially this one who had to come in later, to just speak her name and say good evening to the board. Ma'am.
Hi.
Say, hello, my name is.
Hello, my name is Aaliyah. And hi, everybody.
Hello.
And this gentleman.
My name is Kyrie. Hello, boy.
Hello.
Hello.
So I just want to say thank you for all of your support, the continual support with our bridge team that continues to push out, and thank you for allowing our students to speak. It is because of all of the work that everybody puts in that we are able to put supports in place and make it successful for our students. So thank you very much, and thank you for welcoming them.
Of course, thank you. Thank you again to Erickson, and especially thank you for bringing those scholars back up so that they can introduce themselves to the board. Next, that takes us to the election of our acting chairperson and appointment of our temporary secretary for the organizational part of the Board of Education meeting. At this time, I would like to have a motion to nominate the acting chairperson for the organizational meeting.
Madam President, I move to nominate Superintendent Zachary Ross to serve as acting chairperson for this organizational meeting.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Goodrich. Is there support for this motion? Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Zachary Ross, who will serve as the acting chairperson and who will appoint a temporary secretary. Once all officers have been elected, newly elected president and secretary will begin their duties. Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I hereby appoint Julie Haynes to serve as temporary secretary until such time as the secretary of the Board of Education has been elected. Just to review, Board, verbal nominations for candidates for each of our 4 offices will be solicited one at a time. Nominations for office do not require seconds. Once all officers have been elected, the newly elected president will preside over the meeting. If more than one person is nominated for a single office, the majority vote should be used to identify the majority candidate for that position. If only one board member is nominated for an office, I shall seek a motion to elect that board member by acclamation. The election of officers shall proceed in sequence until all officers are elected. So we will now move to the annual organizational meeting and begin with learning who has an interest in serving as president of the board.
Dr. Zachary Ross, I would be interested in serving as president of the school board.
Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. Trustee Hawkins. Will you please share your level of interest and assets that you bring to the role of president?
Thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. Yes, I would like to just share how, again, humbled I am to have served on this board, having been part of the consolidation, bringing 2 districts together, having the debt relieved, seeing the ups and downs of this district, and to see where we are as a board. My leadership on the board has been unwavering. I have centered scholars, making sure that every decision we make is made through a lens of equity, making sure our scholars have everything that they need in our district, working diligently to make sure our board participates in and takes advantage of all professional development opportunities available so that we can continue to strengthen our role as school board members, being visible in this community, attending events, meetings at the board table, meetings outside of the board table, and in addition to all of those roles as a school board member, I have carried. I have also been very proud of the work that we have accomplished together. In particular, having made sure we adopted a new strategic vision for the next 5 years. So this board has accomplished much together, and it has been proud to serve in this community, and importantly, serving on this board in pursuit of educational excellence for our scholars.
Thank you, Trustee Hawkins. Are there others who are interested in serving as president of the board? And for the 3rd time, it is open. Still, are there others who are interested in serving as president of the board? Seeing none, it is stated that if there's one person, we would move by acclamation. So it appears that the acclamation has occurred and there is support for Dr. Celeste Hawkins. May I have a motion?
I move that Dr. Hawkins be elected as board president for
Until the
until the 2027 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second for the nomination?
Support trustee Sutton Kennedy.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote? It's just, this is just the vote, the roll call vote.
Yes.
Aye.
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 The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have Dr. Celeste Hawkins serve as president until the 2027 organizational meeting. Congratulations, President Hawkins.
Thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross, and thank you, Board of Education.
Now the office is open for Vice President of the Board. Who has an interest in serving as Vice President of the Board?
I do. Trustee Lee.
Thank you, Trustee Lee. Will you please share your level of interest and assets that you bring to the role of Vice President?
Yes, please. I have been on the school board for now 12 years. I have been supportive and been in many roles as secretary and vice president. I am very supportive of the president role, and I will support, and I am supporting all the trustees. I have been in many meetings, and subcommittee meetings. I am on those, and I attend those regularly. I know I have not been all the way here, but like I stated before, that now that my life has calmed down some, that I will be more in attendance and attending more events in the community and more supportive of my fellow board members. So, yes.
Thank you, Trustee Lee. Are there any others who have an interest in serving as Vice President of the Board? And finally, are there any others who have interest in serving as Vice President of the Board? Seeing none, it appears that by acclamation, their support for Trustee Sharon Lee. May I have a motion?
Yes, Dr. Zachary Ross. I move that Trustee Lee serve as Vice President until the 2027 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Is there support?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Is there any further discussion?
I have a question, not necessarily a discussion, but as we're doing the roll call and it talks about you stop at 4, is that different
Yes.
than?
Yes, so
Okay.
if there's four, if there's more than one nominee, then we have to narrow it down to the one candidate.
Okay,
And
so
then
that,
we do the roll call vote.
okay, then it says stop for each candidate, that's why you had a 4 for each candidate nomination?
Yeah.
So if there was more than one, that's what you're,
Thank you for
clarifying.
clarifying. So
Yes.
That's
because-
the acclamation part that the board has voted. If there's only one, we can skip past that and go to just that next part of nomination and then go to voting.
Yeah, because that's kind of like, was misleading, because that's why I said yes before, because I thought it was more of a voting as opposed to the roll call, you know what I mean? So thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you for asking. That means there might be
Yeah.
more than one person with
Yeah,
that
yeah.
question.
Okay.
So yes, that's that
Yeah.
vote by acclamation,
Yeah.
so we don't have to go through the 4. It's only one.
Okay,
And so, thank
that's
you.
fine.
All right, so any additional discussion items? And Julie, we will take the roll call vote.
Aye.
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 The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have trustee Sharon Lee serve as vice president until the 2027 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Vice President Lee.
Thank you.
Next, the office of the secretary of the board is now open. Who has an interest in serving as secretary of the board?
Dr. Zachary Ross, trustee Sutton Kennedy. I have an interest in serving as secretary of the board.
Thank you, trustee Sutton Kennedy. Will you please share your level of interest and assets that you bring to the role of secretary?
I'm interested in serving in the role as secretary and believe my skills align very well with the responsibilities of the role. I have acted as secretary in multiple capacities and bring strong organizational skills, attention to detail, maintenance, maintaining accurate records and minutes, and I believe those skills will allow me to be successful in the role.
Thank you, trustee Sutton Kennedy. Are there any other board members who are interested in the role of secretary? And finally, are there any other trustees interested in the role in serving in the role of secretary of the board? Seeing none, it is by acclamation. Again, move over. It appears that there's majority support for trustee Sutton Kennedy. May I have a motion?
Madam Chairperson, I move the nomination and election of Secretary Talisha Sutton Kennedy to serve until the 2027 organizational meeting.
Thank you, trustee Goodrich. Is there support?
Support, Vice President Lee.
Thank you, Vice President Lee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Haynes, will you call the roll call vote?
Yay.
Yay.
Aye.
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 Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have trustee Sutton Kennedy to serve as secretary until the 2027 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Secretary Sutton Kennedy. Now, the office of treasurer is now open. Who has an interest in serving as treasurer of the board?
Dr. Zachary Ross, I, Trustee Townsend, have interest in serving as board treasurer.
Thank you, trustee Townsend. Will you please share your level of interest and the assets that you bring to the role of treasurer?
I have 17 years experience in the financial industry and also 17 years in the real estate industry. Been a long-time community advocate, over 30 years. Have served in capacities of the chair for facilities and operations. We have done a great job with updating our buildings, making sure we have great technology. I've also served in other capacities for the board, for the scholarship, for the foundation, and just with my experience, I feel that it's contributed tremendously to us moving forward with the $25 million of debt from the previous merger, as well as insight and guidance in regards to the successful sale of the Cheney building for the new recreation center. And this is just an area that I've always liked to serve in various boards that I serve on, and I would just like to continue in that role.
Thank you, trustee Townsend. Are there any other board members who are interested in serving as treasurer of the board? And finally, are there any other board members interested in serving as treasurer of the board? Seeing none, appears that we are here again at a point of support through acclamation for trustee Townsend to serve. May I have a motion?
I, trustee SB, nominate trustee Townsend to serve as treasurer until the 2027 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Is there support?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you, trustee Fields, for your support. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, Ms. Haynes, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Aye.
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 The motion passes 7-0. The vote is to have trustee Townsend to serve as treasurer until the 2027 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Treasurer Townsend. Thank you all for the opportunity to chair the organizational meeting. I now recognize President Hawkins, who will serve as chair going forward.
Thank you again, Dr. Zachary Ross, and thank you, Ms. Haynes, for serving in these important roles for the organizational part of our meeting where we elect officers. Now, board, that takes us to the appointments of our board committee membership for board committee membership and liaisons. Board members, is there interest in a board member who is willing to serve in the role of parliamentarian?
That's me. Vice President Lee.
All right.
I have a question about that. So parliamentarian, and would that be, I mean, and she's a vice president, do they ever kind of, and like, is that the, how do those kind of work? Can you help me? I mean, you know, with her being vice president, and then you have the parliamentarian, so you can.
Yeah,
can they
anyone
go
can-
at quasi, yes.
No, that's a great question, Trustee Fields. I know that Vice President Lee has served in the role of parliamentarian for years, in her
Right.
role as vice president on the board, and any board member can serve in that role, having an understanding of parliamentary procedures, Robert Rules of Order.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, there wouldn't be a conflict.
Okay, I'm just asking, because I wanted to know.
Oh, no, I
You
just answered.
Yeah, no. No.
She'll
I was
throw it to
surprised when
you.
she said, you know, but I know she have, but I'm just saying, but I wanted to, because we've never really, never mind, just, that's great. Never mind.
Okay.
Thank you, Vice President Lee.
Yes, thank you for serving all these years in the role of parliamentarian.
Mhm.
Any other discussion or interest? All right. Thank you, Vice President Lee, for serving in the role of parliamentarian. Are there board members who have an interest in serving on the Head Start Policy Committee?
Okay, that's me again.
All right. Vice President Lee, I know this has been a committee you have served well in and have enjoyed serving for the district. Are there other, does this role require just one, or can there be more than one board member serving? I don't know if we've ever had two. I just thought I would ask today. We can look into it further, and if other board members would like to join, let us know. And we can put somebody else in that role with you as well. So Vice President Lee, it sounds like that you're comfortable continuing in the role as Head Start Policy Committee Liaison.
Yes, if anyone want to take it. No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next, that takes us to number 3, which is our Legislative Relations Network designee. Is there a trustee interested in serving in this role?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I'd like to continue serving in that role.
Thank you, Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Are there any other board members interested in serving in that role? All right, that takes us to number 4, which is the WASB representative for the school board. Is there a member of the board who is willing to serve in this role for the Washtenaw Association of School Boards?
Trustee Espy. I would like to serve in that role, please.
All right.
The representative.
Thank you, Trustee Espy, for serving in the role. Any other members interested? All right, that takes us to number 5, which is our Ypsilanti Foundation Board Liaison. Do we have a trustee who is interested in serving in this role? And just for clarification, I know that at our December meeting, Trustee Townsend, you mentioned that there might be a couple of, could you share more?
So you have the liaison role that does not have any voting power, simply just representing the board, but then they are also looking for actual board members.
I was interested in that.
Yeah, so they have a meeting this week.
Mhm.
So you would be, if you were interested in that, you would be operating as a board member, not a YCS board member.
Right, yes.
Because then that would be a
Right, conflict, yep.
So, hopefully that's more, I'll have further clarification after that, but yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Who might be interested in serving in the role as the Ypsilanti Foundation Board Liaison?
I would still be interested, Madam President, to serve in that capacity.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Trustee Townsend. Anyone else interested in serving? Next, that takes us to the MESB Convention Delegate and Alternate, and I know we always have so many trustees who are fighting for this role, these roles. So, who would like to serve in the role of delegate and alternate for MESB?
I'm always the delegate when we go to Lansing, so. 'cause
You
we'll be
serve in
Lansing
that
this
role
year.
so well, Trustee Fields.
I know, I just go and sit and listen what they saying, but yes, it's in Lansing this year. I'll be the delegate again.
You will. Thank you so much, Trustee Fields.
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I'll be interested in serving as the delegate again this year. I mean, sorry, the alternate
Okay.
again this year.
That's all right. Okay, so I have Trustee Fields, who is willing to serve in this role again as the delegate, and as the alternate, I have Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Anyone else interested in those 2 roles? Thank you, Trustee Fields and Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Next, we have the Coordinated School Health Team. Is there a trustee interested in serving in this role?
Trustee Espy, I would be willing to serve in that role.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Trustee Espy. Is there anyone else interested in serving in this role? Seeing none, that takes us to number 8, which is our Sex Education Advisory Board member. Is there a trustee interested in serving in this role?
Trustee Espy, I would be interested in serving in this role.
Okay. All right. It's going to be a busy year for you, Trustee Espy.
You know?
All
I
right.
figured both of those kind of overlap, so.
Okay, excellent. Anyone else interested in serving in the Sex Education Advisory Board role? All right, so to recap, we have Vice President Lee serving as our parliamentarian, Vice President Lee also serving as the Head Start Policy Committee liaison for the board. We have Trustee Sutton Kennedy serving as the Legislative Relations Network designee. We have Trustee Espy serving as the Washtenaw Association of School Boards representative. We have Trustee Townsend, who is serving as the Ypsilanti Foundation Board liaison. We have the delegate for the MASB convention serving this year. We have Trustee Fields as the delegate and Trustee Sutton Kennedy as the alternate. And for the Coordinated School Health Team and Sex Education Advisory Board, we have Trustee Espy. Thank you, board members, for serving in all of these important roles. Now that takes us to the appointments of our subcommittees. First up is our policy subcommittee. Is there a board member interested in serving as chair and board members interested in serving on the policy subcommittee?
Madam President. I would be willing to serve on the policy subcommittee. I just wanted to remark, as we're all aware, that it's going to be a big year for that subcommittee as we transition our policies, and I recognize my role in catalyzing that, and so I'm willing to serve in that, in some capacity, on that subcommittee in the last year of my term, but I also am very committed to doing support and capacity building, however that may transition to the next leader on that subcommittee.
Okay. All right, so what I hear is that you're interested in continuing in the role, Trustee Goodrich, and you would be open to serving as chair again in that role. Are there other board members who are interested in serving on the policy subcommittee?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I'd be interested in serving on the policy committee again.
Thank you, Trustee Sutton Kennedy. And I would also be interested in serving on the policy subcommittee. Are there other trustees who are interested in the policy subcommittee work? All right, I think that we are probably all in support of you serving as chair. Trustee Good.
I'm honored, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for continuing in that role. All right, next that takes us to our financial and operational planning subcommittee. We have the chair and additional trustees who might be interested in serving on that subcommittee.
Madam President, I would be interested in serving on the committee and as chair.
Thank you so much, Trustee Townsend. Are there other board members interested in serving on the financial and operational planning subcommittee?
Trustee Fields, interested in serving on the committee.
Thank you, Trustee Fields, and I would continue serving on the committee. Any other board members interested? Taking us now to Strategic and Educational Performance, our DTN subcommittee. Are there trustees who are interested in serving on the Strategic and Educational Performance subcommittee?
I'm interested in serving on that committee, but not as chair.
I would, Trustee Espy, I'd be willing to serve as chair of that committee.
Perfect, thank you. So we have Trustee Espy, who is interested in serving as chair, Vice President Lee interested in serving on the committee. Other board members?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I'd be interested in serving on that committee as well.
Okay, excellent. And next, that takes us to our Community Relations Subcommittee. Do we have trustees interested in serving on this subcommittee?
Trustee Fields?
But not as chair.
So be very clear.
Be very clear.
Be very clear.
Yes, I would like to serve as chair on the Community Relations Subcommittee.
Thank you. We have Trustee Fields, who is interested in continuing to serve as chair for the Community Relations Subcommittee. And then I heard Vice President Lee, who was interested in also staying on that subcommittee.
Trustee Townsend.
And Trustee Townsend, who will continue on that subcommittee as well. Thank you, board members. So just to recap, for our policy subcommittee, we have Trustee Goodrich serving as chair, Trustee Sutton Kennedy, who will be serving on the committee, and Dr. Hawkins, myself, I will be serving on that committee. Next, we have for Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee, we have Trustee Townsend, who will serve as chair, Trustee Fields, and Hawkins will serve on that subcommittee again. Next, we have the Strategic and Educational Performance Subcommittee, where we have Trustee Espy, who is willing to serve as chair, Vice President Lee, and Trustee Sutton Kennedy, who will serve on the subcommittee. And last, we have for Community Relations Subcommittee, Trustee Fields, who will continue to serve as chair in that role, and Vice President Lee and Trustee Townsend, who will serve on that subcommittee. before we move on, oh, that comes later in the meeting. I was looking for all of the long list of things that we need to approve. Okay. Yep, that's later in the agenda. So at this time, I would like to take a motion for the appointments of our board committee members and liaisons.
Trustee Sutton Kennedy moved that the following appointments of board representatives be approved and in effect until the next organizational meeting in January 2027.
Do you have, I can list them if you want me to. Do you have them written?
Yes.
Perfect.
Number 1, parliamentarian, Trustee Lee. Number 2, Head Start Policy Committee, Trustee Lee. Number 3, Legislative Relations Network designee, Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Number 4, Washtenaw Association of School Boards Representative, Trustee Espy. Number 5, Ypsilanti Foundation Board Liaison, Trustee Townsend. Number 6, Michigan Association of School Boards Convention Delegate and Alternate Delegate, Trustee Fields. Alternate, Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Number 7, Coordinated School Health Team, Trustee Espy. Number 8, Sex Education Advisory Board, Trustee Espy. The following committees may include 1 to 3 members unless otherwise noted. Number 1, Policy Committee, Trustee and Chair, Trustee Goodrich, along with Trustee Sutton Kennedy and Trustee Hawkins on that committee. Number 2, Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee, Chair Trustee Townsend, along with Trustee Fields and Trustee Hawkins on that committee. Number 3, Strategic and Educational Performance Subcommittee, Chair Trustee Espy, along with Trustee Lee and Trustee Sutton Kennedy on that committee. Number 4, Community Relations Subcommittee, Chair Trustee Fields, along with Trustee Lee and Trustee Townsend on that committee.
I support that motion.
Oh, I was just getting ready to say a motion has been made by Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Espy, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Espy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to our presentation this evening, which is on the proposed retirement plan, administrative review, and structural update. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Zachary Ross to introduce the presentation for this evening.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'll invite Josh Williams from Williams and Company to come. The board has in the past reviewed the retirement opportunities for our staff members, and there is a proposed update for the board to consider.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for the time this afternoon, this evening, and appreciate everybody's time and commitment. I know that as a school board member, that is not a small undertaking. So appreciate all the time you committed to the community here of Ypsilanti. So my name is Josh Williams with Williams Company Financial. I know we had a chance to speak a little bit with the board subcommittee in relation to exactly what we're about ready to go over here in regards to the retirement program that is offered right now at Ypsilanti Public Schools. Williams Company, we've been servicing public school employees now for over 25 years, and we have about 30, a little over 30 advisors now around the state, and our closest office is up in Brighton, about 30 minutes away. So wanted to look at, I guess when we look at the education piece that Williams Company offers in relation to the state retirement system, that's one of the biggest benefits that we're able to provide to public schools, is really to provide that expertise to public school employees on how the state retirement system works. The state retirement system has proven to be a more and more complex system as time goes on. every time they get together in Lansing, they create a new category of employee in the public schools right now. And as that continues to get more and more complex, we find that the need for education out there to the employees continues to grow. We talk to the payroll department right now, you'll see that the current number of categories of employee right now, just from what they have to punch into the payroll system, is 21, I believe. So there's over 21 different categories of employee based on when you were hired in and the options that they chose. So trying to get that financial education out to public school employees has been one of our biggest undertakings here in the last 25 years, and it's becoming more and more important as we see a lot more misinformation being passed around, because the primary source that a lot of employees go to is they look towards veteran staff for advice on the state retirement system. And one thing we found is that while the veteran staff has a tendency to have good intentions when they're providing advice, it doesn't always apply to what they went through when they were just becoming an employee, does not apply to what a lot of the new employees have. So we wanted to present a way that we could provide that level, a level of financial education to all of the employees at Ypsilanti Public Schools, and provide them with all of the information that they need to make educated financial decisions going forward. Now, when you look at the retirement program right now that's currently in Ypsilanti, I believe that was put in place, I believe, probably back in 2008. I wasn't working in Ypsilanti at the time, but I believe that was when that went into place. The IRS has made a lot of changes. They made a lot of changes back then and put a lot of liability on school districts. They put the liability on the school districts in order to track all the contributions, distributions, loans, all of this. What resulted in that is it created an area where districts ended up going one of two directions. Either they hired a third-party administrator to handle all of that for them, or they went to a single source provider so that it was easy for the district to track what was going on, so they didn't have multiple providers. And Ypsilanti ended up going the direction of the single source provider. Well, since then, back in 2012, there was another update in the state retirement system, and it was the implementation of a company called Voya. Voya is now a provider to all Michigan public school employees for a retirement plan. What that means is that currently, under that single source provider relationship that Ypsilanti has with their current provider, that current provider has a tendency to be more of a hands-off provider. I think you find that if you asked any of the employees in Ypsilanti that there's not a single employee that's probably been in contact or met a representative in person of the current plan. And so with that hands-off provider, that self-service model, find that Ypsilanti actually has a duplicate model right now, because Voya offers the same thing. So in 2012, when Voya put that in, and Ypsilanti's current model, they have two self-service models that, as we look at a lot of statistics from participation, we find that participation ends up being very low in that self-service model. Now, the one thing that we're able to offer now, and we started rolling this out, we actually first rolled out this program with Saginaw ISD as a pilot program to say, okay, what we could do is with Williams & Company, we can offer a single source provider relationship under a full service model. And under that full service model, what we provide is we provide a first of all, a level of financial product that is we'd say, it can't say exact, but we could say very, very comparable, price competitive with everything out there in the market, including what we believe Ypsilanti currently has. Secondly, is we provide monthly educational meetings to all the public school employees on a multitude of things, not just on the retirement system, not just on the 403B, 457 defined contribution plans. It's everything from tax planning to we do a lot with health insurance, HSA contributions, and a multitude of other things. I know every month we do a different presentation educational program for all the employees that they're able to attend, and we change it up every month of the school year so that they have opportunity. We try to tailor it as well to what's going on. So, for instance, with we're doing a tax planning one. We'll often do that in February, March, leading into tax season, so that they can prepare how they need to. And then a multitude of other things such as college planning, insurance planning, things like that. All those things that even if we don't provide it, we're able to provide education on it. And it goes well beyond just that of what your normal 403B provider would be able to offer. So the ability for us to offer that to all of the employees at a competitive, at a price that matches or close to match. I can't legally say that we for sure match it because we don't have the exact numbers, but I can tell you that it is very, very comparable. We're able to then replace the current provider that is in Ypsilanti that is duplicating what Voya is doing as the self-service model and provide a full-service model that would then offer a much better understanding or opportunity for employees to understand what their benefits are, what the state retirement system offers, as well as, and ultimately what that would do is we find is increased participation. So we find that as employees understand their benefits, participation goes up, and that goes beyond just the 403B. We find that, I think in the pilot program, we increased, I don't have to pull the numbers, but I think it was 15 to 20% increase just in HSA contributions. And that's one of the things we look at HSA for many employees is the first thing that they should contribute to above all else. So trying to promote that financial education, that financial well-being to all of the employees, we find that ends up being a positive all the way around. Secondly, we look at it with new employees. As we look at the idea of what's going on right now in public schools and the perception of what the new retirement system is for brand new employees, I could tell you, working with thousands of school employees, it has a very negative perception, right? The current employees don't have a great perception of what the new employees are coming in under for as far as retirement system. And I can tell you, as a finance guy, I've run all the numbers, and as long as you were looking at working till age 60, I could actually put out an argument that it's as good or better than what the employees that have been here for 20 years have. And it has more to do with the perception and the lack of knowledge behind the system more than it does the actual benefits that they're going to be receiving from the state. So we find that trying to get that education out to those younger employees, and we actually do that right now with Ypsilanti. I know I come in every year, Sue brings me in, we do the new hire orientation to try to help them make the decisions that they need when they first come in. But I can tell you, the goal behind that is to try to increase employee retention, to try to keep the new teachers that are coming in, new school employees, in the position. We see that the newer employees have a much higher turnover and have less apt to stay in the same position or in the same job until retirement. And we're trying to encourage that because the retirement system that they have offered to them through the state is extremely good. So we want to try to promote that new retirement system and make sure that everybody is able to take advantage of that. So wanted to go through all of that, and then also look at one of the last pieces to it is as we started looking through Ypsilanti's plan document, the current plan document that you have with your current provider, the one thing that stood out in that plan document was that the liability for tracking all of the contributions and everything else the liability still lies on the district. While the provider may be doing it, if according to the document, if anything, if there was ever a mistake made, the liability still falls on the district. And when under the program that we're bringing in, we have a third-party administrator, TSA Consulting, who I don't know the exact number, but I would be willing to bet they probably handle at least 80% of the districts in the state of Michigan for third-party administration on all the 403B, 457. And they take on all of that liability. So with taking on that liability, that takes it off of the district, and I can tell you probably take a load off of the payroll department when it comes to having to make any contributions or anything like that. Everything then just goes to one third-party administrator. And all of the loans, distributions, and everything else is all handled through them, and there's one point of contact for the payroll department. So it makes it easier on them in order to not have extra pieces that they have to keep track of. And they could also increase the number of plans that are offered. I know currently Ypsilanti's got a 401A plan as well, and they're able to administer that plan on top of the 403B, 457, Roth 403B, and Roth 457. So as we look at it, in summary, we're able to reduce the district liability. We're able to try to or put the educational programs out there, increase employee engagement, employee education, make sure that all of these things are provided to the employees. Williams Company actually has a proprietary software program called LifeTrace that we're able to illustrate to every employee. We offer this complimentary to every employee that requests it, and we're able to map out a financial plan on how the state retirement system is going to benefit that employee, and have them and be able to show that if they were to work at Ypsilanti Public Schools until they retire, how much better their benefits would be as opposed to leaving early. So it help promote that piece as well. And then, like I said, we want to try to increase participation in all benefits, not just the 403B, 457. We want to try to, through that education program, we work with the district to help tailor those education programs so that it helps increase all of the benefits for the public school employees. And studies show that the better that employees understand their benefits, the more appreciative they are of them. So everything that's available, we want to make sure that the employees are fully understand what those benefits are and help increase that employee morale. So as we're here asking for the board to review the proposal, I know we had a chance to talk to the committee, and just looking at working to replace that current plan and then implement the new plan under, and I know that it's typically asked of the board to approve that process to start moving from one plan to the next. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has or comments or anything along those lines.
All right, the floor is open for board members to ask questions. Trustee Townsend, do you have a question?
Yes, when I was going through this,
Yep.
I see there's parts in here that talks about hardship withdrawals. Employees can do loans.
Yep.
Can you just, because I'm used to 401ks.
Right.
So I'm just venturing into this 403B myself. I've had one. So
Sure.
for about a year. So
Yeah. So
and my question is what is that rule? Can employees withdraw for the purposes of saying a down payment on a house or anything with this particular plan?
So there's two different provisions there: loan provision and hardship provision. So hardship provision is pretty well spelled out by the IRS of what it is that qualifies for hardship provisions, and under that, the employee is typically responsible for, or I guess the third-party administrator doesn't always ask for verification, so it is somewhat on the employee under hardship distributions in any plan to be able to, if they were to get audited or anything like that, to be able to justify why it is that they took distributions out of the plan early. Now, if somebody were looking to try to take money out, they could do it under what the loan provisions of the plan. If the Ypsilanti's plan is similar to other districts' plan that your current provider has, I can tell you that the loan provision in our plan has more flexibility than what your current plan does. I believe your current plan, when you pay, so the IRS allows you to take up to $50,000, 50% or $50,000, whatever is less, out of your 403B. You could borrow that and pay it back over a 5-year period. Right, so that helps a lot of people, especially when it comes to credit card debt. We often will recommend that, but also first time or for home purchases for down payments. Now, the benefit of that is any of the loan payments, there's an interest payment on that, but all the interest payments go back into your account because you're paying yourself back. So while it's not interest-free, you are paying yourself the interest back. Under the current plan, or under plans similar to yours, I believe the way that it worked was that the loan repayment came as a payroll deduct through the payroll system. The downside of doing it as a payroll deduct through payroll is that if somebody has an outstanding loan and decides to separate service, they have to pay that entire lump sum back prior to separating service. The plan that we typically implement says that the repayment comes as a direct deduction out of their checking account, and they take the loan with them. So it's not a financial hardship to retire them. If they have an outstanding loan, they can continue to pay those loan payments.
Any other questions, Trustee Townsend?
No, it was pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Other board member questions or comments?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, having not been a member of the subcommittee that was a part of this discussion, I was just wondering if someone could share more about the motivation behind this proposal.
I can just share why I brought it to the subcommittee. Right, just reviewing, we know that as we've been looking at the fact of our negotiations and thinking about our staff members, many of them did not have our current plan. We only have about 125 staff members that even participate in utilizing any of these additional funds. And so we know that we already work with Williams and Company to educate our new teachers, but we have no other in-house people who can provide that education background on what all of these plans, the first of all, the 21 retirement plans, but then going into the 403B plans. And so when looking at opportunities, there's really no other options that of a single source. You can have multiple other companies, but then it puts the hardship on the business office. So in looking at over just the last few years, other ISDs, other districts have been saying, okay, we can have a single source option that has these educational components. And those are the pieces that we can think about retaining staff, that whole myth of the retirement system being poor, so then people just leave, versus if you put in this time, look at how much in that life track that he talks about, it literally shows you, okay, if you stay this long, this is how much you benefit, this goes to your spouse, this goes to your children, all those kinds of things. So again, we don't have that in-house expertise that can offer that background on retirement, on the 403B, as well as those monthly educational components. So that was one of the pieces when we heard about that opportunity was there. We're not getting anything currently with the plan, the plan we have, and so for the same cost, we can give these educational opportunities if it could take pressure off of the business office. That is a huge benefit for us. But then really is that educator training that will come with it, that we can also share about as we're going towards negotiation time with our teachers, to show like it's more than what you almost think that we offer, because some of them don't even understand that benefits. I think we pay 30% just for benefits, but we're paying for it, and then people aren't taking advantage of all of those pieces and seeing how they all connect. And so the 403B connects in terms of the benefits that are provided.
Thank you.
I do have a question after that, because when you say we have, like you said, 100 and something employees out of, how many employees we have? Like
700.
That's very low.
It is.
It's very low.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about creating long-term wealth, retiring, we really have to send this message, like, we're not trying to have people work and then become a statistic because of lack of monies coming from Social Security or whomever. So that's very concerning for me, that we have such a low number. So with this new plan, it would increase the educational component of it. So ideally, do we have a percentage of employees that we want to be at least 50%, because that's really, really concerning. If we have people that retire and they don't have anything.
Well, they have the
They
the
have
state
the
requirement.
state one, but I'm just saying, this is that additional stuff, and yeah.
So that's the value, right? Like value add, that let people make personal decisions and choices. And are you thinking about the additional piece and how, like, it benefits you now to do that, do it without the taxes being added, all of those pieces. When they share the classes, some of the lists they have is like the HSA and the FSA benefits. And so, again, we have some knowledge, but typically people call Sue and we're not the experts in this area. And so, again, we have like a void, but before this, there's not been someone we can say, okay, here is the expert. Here we're offering, the district is offering this.
So it sounds like the hope is that by bringing in a third party to be able to actually have these conversations with staff, that they'll be more invested in utilizing this because they'll be able to ask the questions they have and get advice on how to utilize the service, rather than it just be like go in and do your own thing, which then ends up going back to Sue. Is that essentially the goal, is that by having a party involved, it will encourage more engagement with the service, with the retirement package?
Yes, absolutely.
So could this benefit someone that was hired, say like in 2014 compared to someone that was hired now?
Yes, yes, and that's the important thing, because again, so just personally, like I'm a part of that old system, and it's called MIP. That has changed. There's now 20. At that point, I had basically in one option. Now there's 21 that they come in and they have to elect. Think about how serious this is. They have to elect it, and then they tell me the number of days. 75. So, that's where I was going. They have 75 days when they come in. That's why we've asked them to come in before to work with the educator, the new educators. They make that decision. So they have set by law, Michigan law, they have 75 days when they're first hired to decide between these plans, and it's permanent. You can't go in and be like, oh, now it's 2025, I want to change it. And so that's the seriousness of these decisions, and that's why Sue and I we can give you the paperwork from MIPSers, but we don't want to help you make that decision. We really would like an expert to be able to talk about the nuances of the plan. You're going to ask.
Okay, because that's what I was going to ask. Any feedback on teachers or employees on your service? But she just said it was 5 out of 5. So
Yep, and
I wanted to see that.
The other, so we also, because of the education and the life tracks analysis and everything else that we put out there to public school employees, we also, the Michigan Association of Retired School Personnel has also partnered with us in order to do all the retirement presentations for them as well. I believe we do well over 100 of them every year around the state. So it is one of those where we've been doing that now for 20 years. So the number of years we've served as board watcher for the state retirement system and very heavily vested in everything that's going on with the Michigan Public School Employee Retirement System. So it's coming back to your point where it is said, does it benefit the employee that's been here for 20 years versus the brand new employee? And we find that it's the difference between the two that creates the requirement to have the specialty and what the difference is between them, because to provide financial education to a school employee, at the end of the day, the majority of their retirement benefit is coming from the state of Michigan. And if you don't understand what the retirement benefit is that they're going to receive, then you can't properly give them advice on what to do with the rest of their picture. So you have to have an understanding of what they're going to receive from the state of Michigan and what their eligibility is to receive it. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, I have one more question about the timeline here. I see that we have the board discussion, which is what we're doing here right now, and then like legal administrative review and those other things. And I was just wondering if this will come back to the board at a later time and where that falls in the timeline. Share here.
Yeah, if the board had more questions or those kinds of things. So then if the board kind of by consensus looked like we can move forward, then we would move forward with making sure that so when they get that back to us, our attorneys would do that review, to make sure any plan like this, we have that reviewed. And then if everything moves forward, we could then bring it back for approval to the board.
Thank you, board members, and thank you, Josh, for this presentation. I just had one quick question, and it was along the lines of education. Could you maybe speak a little bit to what does some of that financial planning and education look like, say, in a district like this? Like, I'm assuming you've done this work?
Yes.
With other districts, and in other capacities, but what does that, because if there's a lack of engagement, I'm wondering like what makes the difference for you in terms of engagement and in terms of being available to help people to kind of see and plan out their financial futures after retirement.
Absolutely. And with the format of the presentations and the delivery of that, we're very flexible with the district. I can tell you, in many other districts, we're doing 2 per month. We pick a seminar every month that we're going to present. We present it twice. And we present it twice based on the schedule that the employees, to make sure that we can hit support staff, transportation, certified staff, everybody, make sure that it's at a time period where everybody is able to attend or attend virtually. We'll provide it virtually, or if requested, we can do it in person as well if people want to have an in-person presentation. There's plenty of, we're more than willing, especially on the presentations that revolve around the state retirement system and things that apply to every single employee in the district. We oftentimes will do presentations 20 minutes to a half hour, even in professional development, to kind of add a piece of personal development to those days. Obviously, that's something we work with and approve through administration first, but to try to provide some of those updates that all the employees should be aware of, and do that more to a captive audience. So it is more all-encompassing from that standpoint. But a lot of the voluntary presentations on things like HSA, tax planning, all of that, we try to provide multiple times so that it's available to every single employee. We'll put out notifications to every employee that it is available, and we try to keep it very brief. We don't want to. We know that we'll be apt to lose employees if we have a hour presentation on this. So we try to keep it very short and sweet every time, so that we try to get as many repeat attenders as possible, so that they go, oh yeah, I can go to this presentation, get a quick, 15, 20-minute update on whatever that topic may be, and try to, and through that, we find that the best way to grow engagement is by the people that did attend the presentation have a positive experience with it, and then they're able to share their experience with employees as well. But, yeah, we always work with the district to try to figure out the best way to engage the employees, because we're very flexible when it comes to that, and willing to work in every district independently is what works best for that staff. So.
Okay. And just a couple of more follow-up questions. And employees, I'm assuming, can also, in addition to the many options that you provide, they could also probably just schedule an appointment to get questions answered?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have, around the state, we have 30 advisors. We have, I believe, 5 that work out of Brighton.
Okay.
And absolutely, we're happy to schedule one-on-one meetings to go over any of those topics. And especially when it comes to the retirement benefits.
Okay.
And that life tracks analysis, we offer that to every single employee in Ypsilanti Public Schools. And there'll be anybody that wishes to have one can have a one-on-one sit down with one of our advisors to go over what their retirement benefits look like.
Okay, great. And then the virtual options that you provide, I'm assuming that those are recorded so that employees can look back at those?
They can be, yes.
Okay.
We can work with the district on that. We may have the district record it and put it on their website if they
Okay.
have some sort of district portal.
Mm-hmm.
We oftentimes have a landing page for the 403B and the other benefits as well on the district website. Work with IT department on what the best way to interface that is, so that if people have questions, not only they're able to access information on the website, but also our contact information will be there, and anybody that has questions, it's not going to a 1-800 number and getting passed through a call
Okay, thank you. And my last question is, I'm assuming too that this will be part of once this, we go through the process and it comes back to the board for consideration, um, something like this will be built into an onboarding process for new employees coming to the district?
Absolutely. We always encourage the district to implement that as part of the onboarding.
Okay.
We can do that as part of the overall package. There's oftentimes a benefit education piece that comes along with onboarding.
Okay.
And as we go over the retirement benefits, as we see that that's the number one thing that an employee should understand, we'll also be able to offer the 403B, 457 options to them, as well as the Roth options, which oftentimes go overlooked, especially for new employees.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anything else from the board? Thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
All right, next that takes us to our consent agenda. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education approve the December 15, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. 2, personnel matters as per the presented list dated 1/5/25, new hires and resignations.
That's an error. That should say 1/5/26.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. You read it the way it was presented. Vice President Lee, do you mind repeating that with
Okay.
the current year?
Okay, 2, personnel matters as per the presented list dated 1/26/25, new hires and resignations.
I'm sorry, Vice President Lee, one more time. 1/5/26. It's just the year was wrong.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna get it right. Okay, 2, personnel matters as per the presented list dated 1/5/26,
Yes,
new hires and resignations.
yes. Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That now takes us to item 10, which are our organizational meeting matters. And we have some action items to move through. The first one is our district compliance officer's appointment. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move to designate the following staff to serve as district compliance officers. 1, the Assistant Superintendent as 504 Compliance Officer, and 2, the Director of Human Resources as District Compliance Officer and ADA Coordinator in compliance with policy numbers 2260.01 and 4123.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Trustee Townsend.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Townsend. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, a motion was made by Vice President Lee, supported by Trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. And before we move to our Board of Education meeting schedule adoption, once we come back and we get to item 11, just please note, Board, that the organizational meeting matters are annual matters that we adopt at our organizational meeting every year. That now takes us to our Board of Education meeting schedule adoption. If board members could please look at their calendars, have their calendars readily available, and look at not only our district scorecard, but our 2026 meeting schedule for subcommittees, our small group meeting dates as board members with our superintendent, community meeting dates, and state of the school address meeting dates. I know that the information has been shared with the board in advance to review. Looking at all of the meeting dates that have been placed on our calendar for consideration, are there board members that have comments, questions or conflicts?
Madam President?
Yes.
I just have a quick clarification, I think, for those on the policy subcommittee. For the April date, it's listed as March 29th. I'm assuming that means April 29th. That day of the week would make sense.
April 29th? Under,
So under
April?
the April meetings for the policy subcommittee.
there was just an error. It should read April 29th instead of March 29th. Thank you, Trustee Goodrich. The floor is open to the board for questions, comments.
Okay, yes, I have for January 28th.
Say that again.
For January 28th, Wednesdays are not good for me necessarily, so, and, we have a small group, 1 and 2 on Wednesday, January 28th. I have prior engagement, so I can't, the Wednesdays are not good for me, is what I'm basically saying, so if I can miss it if you want, but I'm just saying, you give me notes, but that's not a good day. Wednesdays are not good for me. Or Thursdays. I see you got Wednesday and Thursdays. I got 2 commitments I do back to back until April. And then I'll be fine, but,
Are there other days that work better for you?
I guess, yeah, I guess other Mondays when we're not meeting, but right now, Wednesday and Thursdays, I have commitments, so.
Wednesdays and Thursdays, you have commitments? Okay.
Yep. Until April, like I said, anything after April be fine, but right now until April.
Up
those
until
are not
April,
good.
you have conflicts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the rest of board members? Are there any conflicts?
Trustee Sun Kennedy, I had a question also about the small group meetings. Are those ones that we usually do after school hours or earlier in the day?
Yeah, they're the typical ones that are, 5:30, then 6:30?
Okay. Yeah, that would be a conflict for me on Wednesdays as well.
We don't have times for a lot of this stuff, correct yet?
Right, they're the typical 5:30 and 6:30,
Okay.
and most subcommittees are 5.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
What group number are we? I forget it. Am I 1? Am I 2?
I was in
A group, small group?
Ms. Hayes, do you mind?
I don't know if somebody.
Remember we
Does
had a
any-
meeting where it was like one went early and one went late?
Okay.
Which one did you
Ms.
go
Hayes
with?
is gonna grab the information for us. So you know, so everybody knows what groups they're in. They're back to back on this, okay.
I was in the early meeting because we had to get off.
The first one?
We had to get off the Zoom to let y'all get in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true. The 3 of us.
Who was it? It was the 3 of us?
Yep.
Okay. Maybe we'll figure this out by process of elimination.
I just remember having to be in and then out.
So you remember, Trustee Espy, that you were in the first meeting, which met at 5:30.
Yes.
And that was you, and who else was in the small group?
Maria said, Trustee Goodrich said they were there, and they also believed that Trustee Townsend was there.
For this
Okay.
past calendar year, that was our small group.
They're every other month and not in December. We had to cancel them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like we might need to look for a different day than Wednesday.
We don't have any days like that we're available unless it's times. What other times can you do, maybe?
Okay, thank you so much.
During the day, I can do on Wednesday, just not the evening for me.
So we'll have to go back and look and try to find for every other month, like and you said not Thursdays.
Okay, so just to confirm while we're thinking about how we might adjust the dates for the subcommittees. For small group number 1, we have Trustee Espy, Trustee Goodrich, and Trustee Townsend. For For small group 2, that leaves trustee Fields, Vice President Lee, and trustee Sutton Kennedy. And these small groups meet back to back. So it sounds like, Dr. Zachary Ross, that there might need to be some adjustments for small group number 1, an alternate date,
Number 2 as well.
number 1 and number 2. Oh, because you all are in, okay, got it.
Just to let you know, it may be a problem with me
Mm-hmm.
for the small group for 4 weeks. Because every week, for 4 weeks, my son has to have a bronchoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully after that, it'll be all right. So, and I'll be up at the hospital all day. But other than that, it'll be, hopefully, after 4 weeks, I'll be able to be there. So any day, I don't know the dates, they just random, any day of the week. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I can get on at the hospital, but then I may be jumping on and off. Okay?
So it looks like Tuesdays are better for board members to look for dates to come back to small groups.
Tuesdays.
Sounds like Tuesdays work for most people.
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays are my policy Head Start meetings. That starts at 5:30. So
But that's only that 1 week, right? But it looks like that would be that same week. No, we could move it to
6:30.
Well, it would be March 23rd, like for example, March 23rd and then March 24th. If we were going to do small
So,
groups.
what
board
week
meeting
are
and
you
small
talking?
We would need to look, because our schedules, like, this doesn't include negotiations, the district calendar, so we will have to come back and propose some more dates for those.
Because it's Tuesdays, the third Tuesdays of the month, okay? Are my Head Start meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on the list, so at least that's good.
This is good to know what is not available so that we can try to
Plan.
Thank you.
Okay.
And don't forget, the district calendar is, has been voted on until June 30th. The entire district calendar can change after June 30th.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like just to recap, for the small group meetings, we are looking at an alternate date of Tuesdays to schedule these. And we'll follow up with, board members to get those dates scheduled.
Okay.
Before 7, so 5:30 versus 6:30. Unless it's a 30-minute meeting. Uh-huh. Trustee Espy.
Yeah, so on April 23rd right now, I have the WIC annual budget meeting listed as well as the MyKIP work group committee for educational committee. And I'm wondering if there is some adjustments, because we cannot move the annual budget meeting. Do you have that there too, on the 23rd?
April, we just don't have very many days that administrators are available.
Yep.
And that's like the parent and everybody has to be at those.
Yes, but yeah, April 23rd is the WIC annual budget meeting, which I'm required to go. That's basically the primary role of that committee is to. Oh, it's a Zoom meeting, so maybe I can do both. It's a
That
Zoom.
April 23rd, if you can find anything else, Dr. Lopez.
I was just informed it's a Zoom, so I can probably
Swing
make both things happen.
That's why
Okay.
I don't normally go, because
All right, so April 23rd is okay. Trustee Espy, you think?
You know, we'll make it work. Yes.
All right.
big
had a question about July.
July, uh-huh.
I don't see any board meetings on that day
July.
or in that month. No. Okay.
Do we get that one off?
Oh, I
The
just
goal
wanted to
would be
confirm.
to not have a meeting that month, but if we need to have a meeting, we will have a meeting. Yep. We have about 7 meetings a month. So, yep.
Madam President, can I ask what the community engagement meeting is? It seems like that one is one that shows up in these later months, but that seems to be different than the community relations subcommittee. So I'm just curious what the community engagement meeting is and entails.
Yeah, so these are placeholder dates that were plugged in, and this came out of our December meeting when there was conversation around
Community
ways
conversations.
that we might engage the community. So that's why these dates were put on the calendar so that board members could look at their schedules to see if these dates might work. And then part of the charge of the communications subcommittee would be to start the work in working with the administrators to see how this could look, what are the goals, what are the objectives, kind of what are we trying to achieve through these conversations with the community. So that's why we place these dates on here. Yes, Trustee Goodrich.
I don't want to go out of order, but I just wanted to add if this might be a place to that I could bring up what we discussed about the possibility of doing some community engagement around board service, since we do have an election year coming up. So I know that it specifically made the request to start thinking about dates after we already had this slate of dates proposed, but I just wanted to put a pin in that and articulate that to the chair of the Community Relations Subcommittee. Something that we might undertake as part of our community relations work as we come into the election year.
Thank you for raising that, Trustee Goodrich. And as the board recalls, prior to this, our newly elected board members who are now in their 1-year anniversary of serving on the board, as a board, we had discussed the importance of having some dates available to invite those interested in serving on the board. We know that we have 2 board seats this year that will be up for re-election, election and re-election. And so we want to create some space for members to come and learn about what it means to serve on a board, a Q&A session. The ones that we had offered were successful. I know Trustee Sutton Kennedy was at one of those sessions. And it was a really informal discussion, but it really provided an opportunity and space to be able to share what it means to serve on the school board. So thank you for lifting that up, Trustee Goodrich. And really, I think through the Community Relations Subcommittee, Yes, I agree. And Trustee Goodrich, could you remind us, I don't remember if this was sent in the communication you shared prior to the meeting, but the filing deadline, I don't know if you have that committed to memory at all.
July, the exact date this coming, I believe it's in July. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head right now. But so ideally, if we were able to.
It was the 26th last time, so it's
So
probably
the
like
end
the
of July?
last.
Yeah.
Okay.
So So if it might be possible to schedule something with enough lead time so that while people are in the process of exploring and discerning, they'd have an opportunity to, I would love if it were possible for us to have this sort of engagement with enough lead time so that people have lots of time to think about it before the filing deadline.
So just looking at the calendar, it looks like we have on the calendar an April community engagement meeting, and we also have, just ahead of that filing deadline, and we also have a June community engagement meeting. So there might be some consideration within the Community Relations Subcommittee to think about those being the dates, since they're already placeholders. So just a consideration. Something. Okay. Okay. All right, perfect. Board members, what other questions, concerns, or conflicts might you see in looking at the calendar?
Wednesday, May 27th will be a conflict for me
May
for
20th.
the small group meeting,
Okay.
unless it's earlier in the day. When is graduation?
It has been, well, for many, many years, it was June, and then it moved to May.
Right.
So I know we can probably plan on graduation being in May, but I don't think the date has been set. Has it been set yet? Mhm. We're waiting on Convocation Center to. May 21st? Okay. Do we have the time? Okay. So graduation, did everybody hear the date? It is scheduled for May 21st. And that will be at the Convocation Center again, I'm assuming? Yes. Okay. And then details every year are always sent out by, oh, no, it's okay. The time.
I don't, we had the rehearsal and all that in there. I can't tell you the public time.
Okay. We have time, so
Yeah, they
just
just put a placeholder, that big one.
at least just holding it. We know it's going to be on the evening of Thursday, May 21st. Good question. Other questions, conflicts, considerations?
We have a state of the school address. That's something new.
That is something new. Dr. Zachary Ross, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, a part of the rollout of the strategic plan and working with the board president, she stated that that would be a wonderful opportunity to make sure that we had multiple times that we gave updates on the strategic plan and on district matters. So that was one of the pieces of the community engagement part, and then working with the subcommittee on, okay, what are those other two-way type communications other than just speaking at people at more of a, that's more like the state of the school address.
Any questions about that?
I was just looking, because I know with October, Cube is coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to say, yeah. I thought there was a date with Cube.
The CUBE conference in October?
Yes.
That's 1st through the 3rd.
It's October 1st through the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, in Chicago, October 1st through the 3rd.
And then the MASB one is
October 15th through the 17th.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be in Lansing this year.
Oh, yeah, she did put that on the
That's on the district scorecard calendar.
And remember, the scorecard is just
Yep.
kind of like a draft of items.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. All right.
All right, other questions, considerations?
Am I kind of like waiting for her to look at other dates I was talking about for, I think it was March.
For
Probably
all
was
the
some-
small groups.
But small groups also, though, I have that communications Wednesday, April 8th. Like I said, I won't be able to do any kind of Wednesday or Thursday till after April. But I see that we have a community relations subcommittee and financial, so I'm on both of those committees. And they're on April 8th, which is a Wednesday. Okay, if we can, yeah, and then I'll be better after, after the month of April. Okay. Yeah.
So those two subcommittees, just to reiterate, the communication, the community relations, and finance and operations on April 8th, we'll be looking for a different date.
Usually we met on Monday, but I know it's probably getting what's the name, but normally our
Just
dates.
don't have any more Mondays.
I know Mondays, we only got so many Mondays in a month. So, yeah.
And that's when your conflict ends in April.
Huh?
Is that when your conflict ends
That,
in
yeah,
April?
that one for anything on Wednesday and Thursday up until after April.
After,
is a
you're
problem for me.
free, your schedule frees up in May.
It freed up as far as those dates, yes, but right now until April, yeah.
Any other conflicts?
Can I just also share, because I forgot one part that we were talking about that has
Yeah.
that some of those second dates that you see, in the past, we always had the 2 dates. One was always like a workshop, and one was a board meeting, and if it was needed, if it wasn't needed, it was canceled. We have put out some additional workshops, or if the board asks for workshops for those dates, like that was like the preferred, so there wouldn't be such long meetings. So the intention about that, I just didn't say it out loud.
Okay.
I do want to name that Monday, October 12th, which is listed as a can cancel, is Indigenous Peoples Day. So
Yes, we saw that, we just didn't have additional one, and it's the day after my son's wedding, so I'll be
And that's one of those dates that are listed that we can cancel if needed.
So just to make sure, like with July,
Uh-huh.
are we sure we don't want to put a placeholder for a meeting just in case we have to have it? It can always be canceled, but that's high vacation time, so we want to just make sure. I don't know, whatever the board wants to do, I'm fine with it, but I'll be entrenched in summer camp.
Okay. Yeah, we could easily add a placeholder date, but with the understanding that July is the month that we are taking off. If there's some pressing board business that needs to come before us that we need to meet about, then I think that we could have a placeholder for July. But otherwise, if we don't hear anything about a meeting, we won't plan to meet in July. Correct.
And we'll have to look now then for a date.
A placeholder,
That
yeah,
can be done at any time, so I'm just saying,
in case.
in case, just in case something urgent comes up.
And the only conflict that I have is I won't be here for the policy subcommittee meeting on June 18th. I will not be in town that week. But the committee can certainly meet without me. To keep the work moving. Oh, that would be a lovely
That'll be right when the update hits. So we'll have a little work, I think.
Huh? Oh. All right. So I know, Ms. Haynes, that you're capturing, and I know you are too, Dr. Zachary Ross, some of the updates that we need to make before we finalize the calendar. Is there anything else that the board is noticing that we need to consider? Before we move on. Mm-hmm. We do. Yes.
The
And-
other ones, it doesn't.
Yeah, and I didn't hear any conflicts with board meeting dates.
Yeah, and you can always add them. We just need to make sure we vote, that the board votes for after today. That's the main thing. You can always add board meetings as long as you give the public the notice.
The posted requirements, yeah.
I had a question before we move to, before we make a motion.
Yeah.
Do we need to amend anything or make any notes to the motion, or we can accept it as is, knowing that those changes to the certain things are going to come?
Yeah, the only thing that we absolutely need to adopt would be to make sure that our board meetings, there are no conflicts and no changes that need to be made. And from what I heard in the discussion, there were other topics or meetings that we needed to make adjustments to, but not our Board of Education meeting schedule. All right, that takes us to the adoption of our Board of Education meeting schedule. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move to adopt the Board of Education meeting schedule for January 26, 2026 through January 11, 2027.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Sutton Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, board members, for reviewing all the dates so that we can get a final calendar in place. Next, that takes us to item number 11 on our agenda, which is the business items for review and approval. And the first item under number 11 is our use of the facsimile signature authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, may I ask, prior to us doing this, it says this is about the Director of Business and Finance. Are we able to make that recommendation right now?
I'm sorry. Say
Are
that.
we able to make the recommendation? Do we without the person in place?
For the office, not the person.
The office.
Yes, not,
Okay.
yes, not
Thank
attached to a
Thank
person.
you. Thank
Nope,
you.
no worries. So item A is the use of the facsimile signature authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, move to authorize the Director of Business and Finance to file the necessary forms with the appropriate designated banks to use the facsimile signature of the school district superintendent on check draws of the general fund, food service fund, debt retirement fund, payroll account, student activities fund, and trust fund.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Trustee Townsend.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Townsend. Any discussion on this item?
I do have a question in regards to this.
Mhm.
So until that vacancy has been done, do we need to have any language in regards to an alternate role to serve as that?
No, I serve as the interim.
As long as
It
you're
just, and they're just making sure that the superintendent is on our checks. And so that's, unless something happened differently, like if something. If I weren't here, they'd have to change the name of the district superintendent on the checks.
Any
Whoever
other?
your interim.
Any other discussion on that item? And I know this question was raised by a trustee prior to the agenda, after the agenda came out. And just for the board's information and knowing, and for the public's information, the superintendent always is the business administrator for the district. So by proxy, the superintendent is authorized to serve in the role, to make sure that all of our documents and signatures that are needed, that falls under the superintendent's purview, and then the superintendent then designates someone. And in the case that we have a director of finance who is in that role, the superintendent will designate the director of finance or designate someone to serve in that role. But by virtue of the role of the superintendent is the person who is the business administrator for the school district. And that's also in the Michigan State Code. Next, that takes us to the execution of contracts. And I apologize, given the history, and I was ready for the next item. So to recap, a motion was made by Trustee Sutton Kennedy and supported by Trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. And now that takes us to the execution of contracts and signing of documents on behalf of the district authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Townsend moved to designate and limit thereto the following administrators to sign contracts and other documents on behalf of the district: superintendent or designee, and director of business and finance.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Townsend. Thank you. I blanked for a second there. By Trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion?
Support. Trustee Espy.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Espy. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, motion was made by Trustee Townsend, supported by Trustee Espy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That now takes us to the bank account signatories authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Fields move to approve the board president, superintendent, board treasurer, director of business and finance accounting supervisor as official signatories of bank accounts for the district.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the depository for school district funds designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee
Go ahead.
Trustee Townsend moved that the Board of Education utilize the following financial institutions as depositories for the following funds: normal operations, deposits, and withdrawals. 1, Michigan Liquid Asset Fund Plus, MILAF Plus, Bank of Ann Arbor and Fifth Third Bank, bonded indebtedness paying agents, Bank of New York, 2, Huntington National Bank, and 3, U.S. Bank.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion?
Support. Trustee Espy.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Espy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That now takes us to the electronic transfer officer, ETO designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee move that the board treasurer or director of business and finance be appointed as electronic transfer officer, ETO, in accordance with policy number 6144.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to our audit firm designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Espy, I move that the Board of Education designate Yao and Yao as its auditor for the year ending June 30th, 2026.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Espy. Is there support for this motion?
Support Trustee Townsend.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That now takes us to the legal counsel designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Sutton Kennedy, move that the Board of Education authorize the following law firms as legal counsel for the district: True Law Firm, PC Retainer, and Collins Blaha and Blaha PC.
A motion has been made. Thank you, Trustee Sutton Kennedy, by Trustee Sutton Kennedy. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That now takes us to the newspaper for bid notices and other legal postings designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Espy, I move that the Board of Education designate the Ann Arbor News for bid notices and other legal postings.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Espy. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Fields, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That now takes us to the meeting posting responsibilities designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Trustee Fields, move that the superintendent or designee will designate an appropriate available person to post notices of public meetings.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Espy, I support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Espy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. We are now at action item number 12 under business and finance, and we have the approval of the State of Michigan Treasury Building Assessment to award contracts to TMP Architects and Granger Construction. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee move that the Board of Education approve the State of Michigan Treasury Building Assessment and authorize the contract awarded to TMP Architects in the amount of $1,006 and Granger Constructions in the amount of $45,000.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Just one correction. The amount is $106,000.
Oh,
That's
what did I say?
1,000.
Oh.
It's okay. I just wanted to make that correction. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee with the corrected amount. And is there support for this motion?
Support Trustee Townsend.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Townsend. Any discussion on this item?
Yes, please. Is there any way we can see who was the three architects and the contractors that bid and the amount of the bids?
Yeah, we have Mr. Birchwell here.
We had three companies that came in to present, and then with the interview team, it was IMAG, that's an architect company, King Scott and TMP, and then we had Clark Construction for the construction management company, Barton Mello and Granger for the construction management company. So, and the bids for the I thought I had printed off the bids for the construction management company, but the for King Scott and IMAG, they was quite a bit higher. It was like $250,000 for IMAG, and King Scott was $175,000. One of the reasons why the architects company is a lot they've done TMP is less money is because they done our report in 2013 when the two districts merged. They know our buildings, so they can actually see the capital improvements we have done throughout the years, and so so they can probably compile the information a little quicker. And we vote on this tonight, they're willing to start next Monday and take a smaller building. I'm gonna work with them on the first building, make sure we get everything that we are looking for. And then the construction management company, one reason why they're less than the other company is they're a local company and their people live in town. They don't have to pay for hotels and stuff like that for their company. So, and they're always quite a bit cheaper too. So, any other questions? This goes with our strategic planning.
And can I pause to just add, because the bids are high, are at the level they are, they have to follow the state requirements of opening the bids in public on a certain day, like all of that. So that's why I kind of just came this way, because we have to follow the state of Michigan bid process. They had to follow it and open it and have it available and publicize it. And so that's why this bid is not like our typical just coming to the bid, board. It has to go through a specific bid process that the state has laid out, not board way, but the state.
Typically, when we do a big bid like this, we'll have a walkthrough or interview process for contractors, and then 2 weeks later, they turn their bids in, and we have to have an open bid. Contractors can come to the office, and then anybody that want to see what's going on can zoom in or be present and watch us open the bids. So there's no secrets to it. We don't go in a dark room and open bids up or anything. So, all right. Any other questions?
And this is, when we say assessment there, we're looking at
Each and every building, they're going to look at everything, from outside all the way down to the outlet on the wall, and tell us if you think the electrical need to be upgraded in the building, that the technology needs to be upgraded, the heating, cooling plants, the roofs, furniture, flooring, everything. TMP will let our technology director work with them and pick the technology part of it to the engineer company that work with TMP for that price too. So,
And I just want to lift up, so the last one was done, I think in 2013.
yes,
The board at that time used that data, so you get all of that assessment. And then the board used the data for the long-term planning, so that's the same plan so obviously that's now, that 10 years is up, it's time to look through that plan that they had, but they also used it for sinking fund, ideas and implementation of what years, because as you know, we're getting close to the end, so we need that data for the sinking fund, we need it for the long-term plan, and if at any time boards considered bonds and those types of things, the information from this plan, this assessment would go into what is necessary for those plans. So that this piece is really important. It also, I want to lift up, I know it's in the background, just lift it up, that it's a requirement of us receiving the Public Act 321 dollars. So because we decided, they originally went for the bids
24.
24 when we first were awarded. Said we were going to get the funds. We did not receive, if you can remember, we did not receive the PA 321 funds till later. Access to them. So we wanted to wait until, as you know, all the capital projects have been completed, because if you get the assessment before those projects, then it's not a great assessment when we knew we had playgrounds being put in, a boiler, like
roofs,
huge pieces. So the timing of this, just the why. Number one, we have to spend the PA 321 dollars within the 3 years. So it either has to be this year or next year. Number two is a requirement from the state. And number three, we just finished all of those capital projects. So that's kind of the why for like right now. In terms of
Granger
background.
Granger and TMP is not raising their price either. They held to that price, the 24 pricing. So
Okay.
yeah, I called and double checked, and they're holding to them pricings. So,
Trustee
and then
Townsend.
if we ever decide to do a bond or anything, we already got the report paid for. In the next couple of years, we'll have the report. We can go off of this report. We don't have to go out and bid again and pay for the report again.
So
It's a saving.
I haven't been by homes, but that this assessment will take into account of what's happening at homes.
Yep. What's already been done throughout the whole district. They go room by room, and every square inch of the district they look. So we're going to start with ACE, because that's a small building. I'll work with them on that building to make sure we get everything we want. They're going to put it in a spreadsheet format where we can add it to our work order system, where we can order parts. That the guys come to me and say, hey, I need this part for this unit. I can be able to look it up. I won't have to physically go out and look for it. And then during midwinter break in February, they're going to have 2 teams do the 2 large buildings, the middle school and the high school. And then after that, they'll finish up working nights with the 2 teams hitting all the elementary schools.
And then all of this will be done by end of May?
End of May, what they're saying.
Okay.
And they'll have a report to us by June.
I don't know if I missed it. I was probably listening, but way over my head. Why are we having 2 different? I mean, is
You got
one of
an
them?
architect company that will go around and kind of pinpoint what they
Right.
want, and the
And then-
construction management company put a price tag on it. How much will it cost to do this?
Okay. Oh, so one's gonna go see what's wrong, and then Granger's gonna be used to maybe.
Give us pricing and stuff. So they'll walk around together when they're.
So they're not necessarily gonna fix it. They're just gonna tell us what it's gonna take to
what it's
fix it.
going- Yep.
Okay.
Any-
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Birchwell. So to recap, a motion was made by Vice President Lee, supported by Trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. That takes us to our public comment, our second public comment for this evening. And we have already read the Board of Education public comment protocol, but I will read it again in case the member of the community was not here at that time. Pursuant to Board of Education Policy 0167.3, the board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express their views. Please limit statements to 3 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. No person may address or question board members individually, and all remarks shall be made in a respectful and professional manner. Jeremy Haley.
Good evening, Jeremy Haley, Ipsy Township, and welcome to the new year. I'd just like to address a few things. Last time I was here, there was a teacher here who, taught for the special needs classrooms, and she was complaining about what was going on. As I recall, there was another time, at another meeting, a parent actually came in and complained about the same thing. I'm just asking that, have you guys looked into the situation to make the situation better for those students? Okay? And on to AI, my phone, I have an Android, so it got recently updated, and when it did, I got a notice the next day. It says, hi, I'm Gemini from the AI Google, and it was connected to my messages. And it asked me to accept it or not. I still haven't accepted it because I scrolled down and it said it may make up names or comments or conversations. I'm again asking, how is the school addressing the AI and these issues that AI has with students and the schools wanting to use AI? How do they disseminate what's real and what's not? At age, it's really hard for them. And trust me, at some of our ages, it's really hard for some people to disseminate it too. And the lawyer thing that you want to do with the new policy, to go to one thing, I think that'd be a horrible idea because it's easier for if you look at it from this perspective, it's easier how they want to change things and take you all to the same thing as everybody else. In the end, it's easier for the attorneys while they make the more money. That's how you look at it. Because if everybody has the same thing and you can tweak it here and there, well, it's easy for them while you and everybody else has the same thing. I mean, I'd like to see IPSI have some individuality and stick to what it has and maybe change within and buck that system of those attorneys and found out those attorneys not just represent schools, they represent cities. So there could be some conflict there, I don't know. And the last thing about retirement, it's nice for you guys to have retirement things. If I'd do something as such. What I'm about to say is, you know, if you ask a financial person, hey, how about gold and silver? Would you have that in your portfolio? A lot of them say, hell no. Don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I asked my friend who went to a financial advisor, and because things are changing in the market and stuff, he said, yeah, get some gold, but get the ETFs on it. Why I'm bringing this up is because recently, if I could just finish real quick, the market has changed such that all those people who did the ETFs in silver got recently wiped out because the market's changing. And all these financial people don't push financial resiliency into buying gold and silver. You buy gold and silver, it's not as investment. You buy it as to hold your money in like a bank. That's what I'm saying. These people that you talk to, they don't say that because guess what? If you go buy physical gold, those people from those companies don't make any money. So I just look at it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy Haley, for your comments this evening. The board has your comments documented, and typically it's our practice, and I know you've been to many of our school board meetings, and we follow up in writing to members of the public to address some of the questions that were raised. So someone from administration will make sure they follow up with you to answer the questions that you raised at the board meeting this evening. So thank you again for your comments. Next, we have a discussion item on our agenda, which is to consider formally revising our agenda template. We had a request that came in from one of our trustees back in December to consider revising our agenda template in order to move our public comment section up earlier in the meetings, which would appear after awards, achievements, and recognition. Trustee Goodrich, I'm not sure if you wanted to say more about that, but you can if you would like to.
Sure, thank you. And also, I don't want to take credit for this. I know I'm not the only person who's been making this request, and thanks for the opportunity to consider formally changing our template to bring public comment earlier in the meeting. I know that I think it's a real strength that we have 2 public comment periods so that we have an opportunity for folks who want to come and address us at our business meeting, and I know it is our business meeting, but we are also invested in being available for the public to come and address us, and I think formally moving that earlier in the meeting would make it more accessible, especially for families, parents with kids who need to get home. Our meetings can run quite late, and sometimes we have quite a lot of presentations, so having it where we have situated it after presentations can really filter out a lot of people who would like to engage with us. I think it's, so having the 2, having one early and then one that comes after we've conducted our business just provides a greater breadth of opportunity, and moving this one a little bit earlier would make it more accessible. So thanks for the opportunity for us to consider changing our templates. I know we've done this on a one-off case when we've had longer presentations, but we don't always catch it.
Thank you, Trustee Goodrich. The floor is open for board members as we consider formally revising this agenda template. What comments do the board members have?
Trustee Espy, I support the idea. Just looking at this week or this board meeting versus the one in December, I see sometimes there's a discrepancy between when we accept the agenda. So in that, just being mindful of that piece. But yeah, so essentially after achievements and awards, providing that opportunity for public comment would be something I would appreciate, recognizing that there will be an opportunity then for a second public comment later, similar to what we've done this week. I don't know if there's a recommendation on the length of time for that public comment period, or if that's something that we can look at. That would be my only thought, is that just so that we can make sure that we do get to the required agenda items as well.
Thank you, Trustee Espy. Any other board comments?
She's asking, Trustee Goodrich is asking that we move the public comment to after achievements and awards.
Or at least prior to presentations. I think it could certainly go after the acceptance of the agenda, at least in my
In December, we did the acceptance of the agenda as our third item, and then we did achievements. This month, we did achievements and then acceptance of agendas, but those seem to be interchangeable.
And it's, to me, what I'm seeing and what I'm noticing, the public comment always come after achievements and awards and recognitions.
This is something that we have requested in recent board meetings. This is relatively new from, I think, the past two board meetings that it's been shifted to where it is currently.
It is always after achievements and awards, but it is often much after achievements and awards if we have a number of presentations on a given meeting day. So I guess the other way to articulate it might be moving the first public comment session to before the presentations.
Yes, it's typically after the presentations. Many times we're paying an attorney to come. We have closed sessions, those other things. So in the past, we've kind of tried to weigh it back and forth and you have administration and students sometimes in those presentations. Yep. So we waited because if you notice, like sometimes when there's those controversial things or when like people were going to different districts and filibustering and types of things, then you still have your people waiting. And so that was kind of originally the reason why public comment was moved. There was a board subcommittee, a whole conversation about that, especially when people were going to the different, and it talks about the time. Like we had guidance from the law firms on what to do because people were just coming to board member meetings and taking that time. So then your administration, your other guests who are coming for presentations, and especially when we're paying attorneys to come to a board meeting, that was a huge factor because they would just have to wait. So it was determined to be after those presentations at that time. I know it's a different time. I just want to give you the historical perspective of it.
And I do appreciate that we are limited in our ability. Like we can't put a cap on a strict cap on the overall amount of public comment time. We can designate the amount of time an individual person may comment, and we can enforce the end of that time, but we can't say all public comment is limited to 30 minutes, right?
May we be able to say, given that we have two public comment periods, that the first public comment period is limited to a certain amount of time, like 20 minutes, and then the second public comment time, which is towards the end of the agenda, would not have that limit? Is that possible to have a set time on the first public comment period?
I think you can, and I'm going to pull the policy, it's how many, like the board president could say we're going to hold certain ones, to, like if you have a certain number of them. I don't know about the minutes. I can look at the legal fees. Like typically what they'll do is have you take a recess. That was, I can remember the law. You have to take the recess and then you can come back and say you're holding this till a certain time, because that was what was happening before with others. I'll double.
Yes, and we can look at the full board policy, which is in our bylaws, what it says there, and then we can also get additional guidance. If my memory serves me correctly, I believe there is some pretty strict guidance on making sure you allow members of the public to be able to address the board. Individual board members, community members have 3 minutes to address the board. But the idea is that you don't limit participation from the public. But we can check into that definitively, to your point about putting some parameters around the time. We just need to make sure that we are making sure we're within the bounds of what our policies say and what the law says.
No. Yeah, it was requested. Yes. And I wonder too, because we don't have as many, almost to do what you said, the opposite almost. If the board's intention is to have the citizens' participation early, and if something is occurring where you have the attorney, then perhaps saying, hello board, can we have this, move it so that we can accommodate. So since they're rarer.
Yeah, well,
Because we've done that a couple times where we knew right away that, oh, we're gonna have all these things, so let's get the board, let's do the public comments earlier, so that we don't miss out on what the public has to say, our community has to say. And then just, we don't have to officially say, we're gonna just change the whole thing. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's a problem with doing that.
So I wanted to share my agreement with the idea of adjusting public comment, and I like what you just proposed, Dr. Zachary Ross, as a sort of way to do both, building off of the idea that you just shared, Trustee Fields, in showing that we prioritize and really value public comment and making that permanent change, but allowing ourselves to move the presentations forward if we know that we have scholars coming in or attorneys coming in, because that's the more rare item. So we want to use that for the exception rather than always having to request a public comment move. So we would still need to make a motion or some sort of decision around our agenda related to public comment, but we can still make adjustments as needed if we know that we have attorneys or scholars coming in to speak with us.
Yeah, my biggest thing is when we have a ton of presentations and then a closed session, we just, as long as we're having active conversation and being mindful of making the shift, I'm good with that. I think these last 2 meetings we've done that. And then it actually makes the business go faster, depending on, what the item is that the public wants to discuss. But yeah, if we're able to do that and just be more, I guess, proactive in that would be good. But I'm good with going as we go, making changes as we go.
I'm hearing two different things right now. One is shifting the default to being earlier, right? Which is what we've done for this meeting and the meeting before this, right? And then making changes to that when necessary if there is someone who's being like a lawyer who's on the clock, right? Who are paying for per minute, basically, versus if we're, you know, here and we're going to go through a number of presentations from within the district. So, and then I think the other was saying leave things as they are, and then we'll make the adjustment as needed. Both are saying we'll make the adjustment as needed. One is suggesting that we keep it the way it is and make the adjustment as needed, and the other is saying let's move it to the earlier on the agenda and then make the adjustment as needed. Is that what I'm hearing?
I didn't hear that.
What is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Trustee Fields, are you saying that we want to keep it the current way and then make adjustments as needed? Right.
Today was different, and it was different today by request. So, yes, you picked up on the difference. Yes.
I personally would like the default to be the earlier version.
Okay.
I would also be supportive of shifting the default to the earlier position. I really like and trust that our leaders who are setting the agenda can then make the call when we know that we have a financial or personnel reason to prioritize the timing of the presentations, that we can, like, then we've got a really clear switch for when to move those up ahead of public comment, and we don't all have to be vigilant about let's move it up this month and let's move it up this month and let's move it up this month.
The only comment that I would just jump in and make, and Vice President Lee, and then if other board members want to jump in, it really is whatever the pleasure of the board is. I would say the cadence of our meetings have been such that in the history of our meetings is that we've made adjustments along the way to accommodate the public. We didn't used to have 2 public comment sections. Now we have 2. And I think we've always been very mindful every month that we have a board meeting, if there are some shifts that we need to make and we need to pivot because we notice there's a topic or we have a number of members who want to speak and we have all these other agenda items, that we make that shift in the meeting. And so to the points being made by Trustee Fields and Trustee Townsend and other board members who may have alluded to this, is that I just want to make sure it's clear that there's not a problem, right? Like, we haven't had like this groundswell of not being able to accommodate public comment, but I appreciate the consideration and thinking about, but I think this board has been really mindful and receptive to making sure we make adjustments as needed when we know how our agenda is situated, to make sure the public is not sitting here through a lot of agenda items and then they have to wait until they address the board. So I just wanted to make that comment. Vice President Lee.
Cabinet, I assume, they're getting overtime for being here? No? No?
No.
Yeah, or just salary, straight salary.
Just
That's the cabinet role.
Okay. All right. Because we have made accommodation for the public. This is a board meeting. A board meeting. There's 2 public comments on here. I'm not being hard or anything. I appreciate the public comment, and I appreciate the public's comments. The kids come, they do their presentations, and they leave. There's call to order, pledge of allegiance, achievements and awards. And then there's acceptance of an agenda, and then there's the public comments. The first one. I don't know what else we have to do to appease the public comment section. But I will go along with whatever the board decide. But I just don't know what else you guys want us to do. I don't know what else you want us to do. I really don't, Trustee Goodrich.
I mean, the order that you just articulated would, I think would be great. Like that would be just that's all I'm requesting is the order that essentially we did today.
Trustee Lee, yes, I think that it was the confusion is that today we followed a order that aligns with the request. So this is the order that we're requesting.
I think I'm hearing everybody. I think one of the things that will be different about this year is we have been intentional about holding community engagement opportunities. I think that would be perfect time to really educate the public about the purpose of the board meeting. Because sometimes people simply just don't know. They think if they have an issue, they come directly to the board versus there's a protocol to handle certain issues. And so I think we can do everything everybody wants to do. I'm just asking us just to be proactive. If we know it's going to be a long meeting, we can make adjustments as we can going through the process. But I think what's most important is educating people about the purpose of the board meeting, because that's
And
really
it's
the
that-
time that we have to do business.
And it's that simple. We
Because I
can make
appreciate that,
adjustments.
because if we're inviting people to present, and they've prepared to present, which they don't get paid extra, and now they're waiting for public comment, that could happen anytime. Now, you've got staff members, guests, people who are presenting to the board waiting as well. So somebody's going to wait. But the person who is prepared to come to the meeting is going to now wait. That's the issue, to just keep right, like, that was and it could be a public. Your public still that you're serving, but they've been asked to come, and now they're also asked to wait in their evening time. And most of those people work during the day too. So
That's a good point. That's another good point. And we want to be respectful of everybody's time. And I guess probably my last comment is that I will make is that what I'm hearing, well, two things. One, it doesn't sound like this has been coming up. These are kind of infrequent times when we've had to make adjustments. We don't typically have to make a lot of adjustments to our meeting agendas. And so I hear board members saying, move it up, and I hear board members also saying that we can continue to pivot as we have been and just leave the agenda the way that it stands. So again, it is the pleasure of the board as to what we do. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, and that was addressed in board policy, because we had a long dialogue about it. It is number 4, about that the presiding officer may call a recess or an adjournment to another time when lack of public decorum or so interferes with the conduct or orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. So they would adjourn the meeting, and then they would begin that they'd say whenever they're going to come back to it, and then they would begin again with those comment cards.
So then, might it be possible for us to continue as proposed with the agenda similar to what we did today, with public comment being the first one, being after consent agenda or achievements and recognition, and maybe we say a few people or whatever it is, we sort of have a time, and then we call a recess if we have people waiting to present and so on, and continue at the second public comment period. And I'm just throwing that out there because I know that recently we have started making requests to move public comment forward, and those requests came out of observing us having folks in the public here waiting for 3 hours or more before we got to our public comment period. There was one time we didn't get to public comment until like 9:30. And then the second public comment was about 30 minutes later. So, we do have 2 public comment periods, but when we're not getting to the first one until 3 hours into the meeting, they kind of end up running really closely together. And we also had that meeting where we lost about 10 people who did want to speak with us, but were unable to participate. I know there is a lot that we do have to manage with, someone's going to have to wait. So if there's any way for us to figure out a balance that we can support public comment and make it more accessible, especially for that first period, and those who can wait could possibly share their comment in that second period as well, so that we can balance presenters as well as that public comment. So I just wanted to throw that out there if that is an option for us to, be in the middle there or compromise.
I would just add that in the history of just being on the board, right? And I said this already, but I'll just reiterate it and say it again, is that I've appreciated serving on this board and us having the ability to pivot when we need to. And our meeting cadence switched from twice a month to once a month, because as a board, we decided we wanted the meeting frequency to be a little bit different. So as a result of having a meeting maybe that's just once a month, it's going to be a longer meeting, right? So, we're trying to make adjustments and pivot and accommodate a lot of different things for the board, for the public, for our administrators, for our staff. We didn't have 2 public comments. Now we have 2. And so I guess I'm just saying all that to say is that I'm trying to balance staff preparing for presentations, because I hear that loud and clear, and I do want to be respectful if there's a planned presentation, that we don't also have staff members who are waiting after they've worked all day. I think that's a big consideration. We all have full-time jobs, right? And so I'm just trying to be really mindful of what that could feel like, and what that could look like if somebody has to wait. Respecting our staff time, I think, is really, really important. And I know we also respect community members' time, which is why we have 2 portions of the meeting where there's public comment section. And I hear there's probably, if I'm hearing comments correctly, it seems like maybe the board's lean is to keep the agenda the way it is and to pivot, but I could be capturing that incorrectly. So correct me if I'm wrong. I guess as a offer to consider for the board is maybe we see it's January, maybe we reassess this in June and come back to it and see if we need to make adjustments for the later part of the year. I'm just throwing that out there as another consideration, because I know that everybody is not in agreement in one direction versus the other, but it sounds like the majority of the board is leaning more towards let's leave things the way they are and pivot as we need to. So board, help me out with where we are.
I just want to address Trustee Sutton Kennedy's statement that you just made. I remember that both of those board meetings that you are referring to. And if I'm correct, those 2 board meetings, they were very long, and it was a rare occasion for both of them. And I felt for that. Those people the community that wanted to make a public comments. In that board meeting, after that board meeting, that's when we the board president and the superintendent, that's when they really caught the next board meeting. They caught that, because that one, we had another long meeting, the next one, and they caught that, and that's when they moved the public comments up. So that first one that you're referring to, yeah, they didn't catch that, and it was a rare occasion. And, you know, I apologize for that board meeting, you know, so I do recall that one. So like I said, it was a rare occasion that that happened. So, with the agenda, you know, they normally, the president, board president, and the superintendent, they normally are good with catching if we're going to have a long meeting or not. And you will catch that and we'll adjust the agenda, you know, and we could move the public comments up, you know, so I don't know, but, you know, whatever the board is willing to do, I'll go along with you.
Madam President, may I speak on one? I want to name that I have appreciated the willingness of you all to make shifts upon our request. I want to acknowledge that that was based on request when we did shift it. It was a request I think I made, and then I believe another trustee Goodrich, made it for the following meeting. Which again, it demonstrates your willingness to work with what we're asking for. And so I really appreciate that. And I think what I've heard is this recognition that right now there is an ask for us as board members to be vigilant about what's going on within the space to figure out if whether or not it's a need to request that shift or not. Which is obviously we're amendable to, but I think that one thing is I think about presentations versus public comment, because obviously all of these people matter, is that what I can recognize is that when a presentation has to be cut short, I still have the information in front of me because we get it within the board packet. When a person from the community doesn't have an opportunity to speak, I don't actually end up hearing what they had to say. And so I think that is part of why, for me, it's important for us to be able to do that earlier in the meeting and work with bring the agenda forward. So that's just something I want to hold, is that those folks who come into the space, and while that did happen on a couple occasions where we had a recess and people were still waiting, I want to name that this is not the first time people in the community have actually said something to me about the length of time to wait for public comment. And within the year I've been on the board, I've had at least 2 people approach me and say, wow, it takes a really long time for us to be able to say something. So yes, it was something that was noticed and glaring during the really long meeting, but it's not something that is a new concern for the public. And so I want to offer that information up, that the shifts have happened because of the glaring issue that we occurred in a couple previous meetings ago. But the concern from the public is not a new piece of information.
If I might, I just want to, I think I've had separately similar feedback from different members of the community, and that's part of what motivated the individual requests and this sort of invitation to consider a broader shift. I was here a lot as an attendee at board meetings back when we used to have a more frequent board meeting cadence, and that did also provide more opportunities for the public to engage with the board when we had meetings more frequently. I understand there are lots of really compelling reasons that we are on the cadence that we have now, but it does reduce the number of dates available for members of the public to come and address us. I totally agree that education about the chain of command and the protocols for bringing issues is really important, and I think we've made a lot of progress in that way. And I do think that occasionally folks hit roadblocks, and it is useful for this venue to also exist when people feel like they just haven't been able to make any progress trying to follow the chain of command. We have public comment for a reason, so that opportunity for daylighting exists. If the will of the board is to stay with the current default, and for us to be vigilant about making requests when we are seeing ourselves set up to have a really long spate of presentations before public comment, certainly all of us who are concerned about that can do that. I think if we follow up on some of the communication things we talked about in December and make sure that once one person makes a request, that request is then reflected back to everybody, so that not everyone is, then we know when the request has been made and whether or not it's being considered, so that you who are setting the agenda don't have to field 3 or 4 or 5 different requests for the same change. Perhaps that might be useful. I know I felt very bad that one meeting that I did not catch it and make the request, and I think I've not been vigilant enough about those things. So that's, I guess staying with the default then just shifts the responsibility to each of us as individuals to be on the lookout for that and to make those one-off requests for each meeting that's potentially set up to create a really long waiting period for public comment.
Thank you, Trustee Goodrich, board members. I do just want to note that to the public and at the board table, just to say it publicly, is that I don't think there's ever been on purpose, right? Surely we have anomalies where we have very long board meetings, but I just want to reiterate how I appreciate the board's ability to be able to pivot and read the room, to know ahead of time if we need to make shifts. The superintendent and I set the agenda. We are looking at how many presentations, and I guess I'm looking at the totality, not one-off, right? Like the totality has been that we've been very responsive to the meetings and making sure we have opportunities for the public, and we've always made sure every member of the public who wants to address the board could address the board, because it's important for us to hear from members of our community. I don't want to go into, I guess, too much other detail other than to say if there are concerns that are ever raised by members of the public, that I would want to know that, right? So it's the first time, Trustee Espy, that I've heard you say that, right? And I don't know, Trustee Goodrich, if it's also come to you, but it's probably the first time that I've heard you say that too, that members of the public have been coming to me saying, this is problematic, the meetings, right? So I can't do anything about anything unless you come to me and tell me if there are concerns. Otherwise, we are just responding, we're pivoting, we're being flexible, we're being adaptable. And it sounds like where we are now is that, just to kind of recap, and certainly we can, have more discussions about this if we feel like we need to as a board, is that the majority of the board wants to keep in place what we have and to pivot as necessary. But again, as I shared earlier, if I am misreading what the consensus is on the board, please correct me. I see Trustee Sutton Kennedy saying, yes, that's what I hear. Trustee Fields, yes.
Yes.
Vice President Lee, yes. I see Trustee Townsend shaking her head, but I don't know if that's because of the mint or.
Yeah, if it's the will of the board, I support maintaining where we're at and just being mindful of when we need to make pivots. And again, I appreciate that you all have been very receptive to that, and that has not been a problem when we have requested it in any situation. So I can like that has not been an issue, so that we can continue to show up in that way. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Espy. Trustee Goodrich?
I think my one, I hope this would not be an onerous request, but I would love if we could just keep a little bit of data and track when we have cards where people have already left by the time we get to public comment. Because I know we have had meetings where there were stacks where folks were no longer here. So that would be just a small piece of data that would help us kind of get a finger on the pulse of what the impact is on the public for the meetings as we are setting them up moving forwards.
Yep, not to add another thing to Ms. Haynes' plate, but I'm sure that she would be happy to make sure we keep track of that so that we can have some data. Okay. So we are moving on from this item. We'll leave the agenda as is. We'll make pivots as necessary, and we'll get data along the way to see, to Trustee Goodrich's point. That takes us now to board superintendent comments. Board members, what comments might you have?
Thank you, everyone, for your time and for being here and for engaging us in conversation.
Other board comments?
Also, Happy New Year.
Any other board comments? Go ahead, Trustee Townsend.
Put on the record that the charcuterie board that the kids gave me is being well utilized. Thank you, culinary students. Manufacturing students. Kudos.
Yes. It's a beautiful, beautiful charcuterie board.
I just want to say it's been a long night, but I brought two of those at the, what did we have, Art Eats and Beats or something. Yeah. I bought two of the little light things. I think Mr. Kim.
Oh.
I bought two of those from him.
Okay.
And they were really nice. So I bought them as gifts, but I just want to say those are really nice. I think they made them here, but
oh, wow.
Those are popular. Those are really nice. So I just want to say I bought two of those.
All right, excellent. You have to send me a picture of it. I don't even know what the.
You might not want to see mine, but I did a Zeta one, girl. I did
okay.
Zeta.
Okay.
And I did a Michigan, and they light up. You can change the color of the lights, so I got them sent them. So yeah, love them.
Okay.
Yes. I'm just saying.
All right. Excellent. All right. Other board comments? I just want to say thank you to the board for, we sit at these, board meetings and it's hours, and I appreciate everybody just being here, staying engaged throughout the duration. Thank you for all board member support for the election of our officers, and welcome to Trustee Sutton Kennedy serving in a new role as secretary. And thank you to Trustee Goodrich for all the years of service serving in the role as secretary. I know the transition will be a smooth one, and we're available for any questions that you might have. Just a quick reminder to the board, today I had requested that if you had comments about the proposal for CUBE, if you could share any comments about the draft that was submitted by Dr. Lopez. We can, are able to make changes to it, and wanted to kind of just check the pulse of the board to see if presenting, I know the last CUBE, we kind of said, we've been presenting back to back, and we took some time off from that, which was nice to just enjoy the conference as participants versus participants and presenters. But just wanted to make sure the board felt comfortable with the proposal, and if board members are interested again in presenting at the upcoming CUBE conference. Oh, attendance and presenting. Yes? Okay. Back in Chicago, yeah. It was 2 years ago in Chicago, right? Chicago was 2 years ago. Yeah, Chicago was very nice. Okay. Thank you, board members, and thank you again. I think I said this at the December meeting, but thank you again for arranging Dr. Zachary Ross and your team for making those two tours accessible for members of the community to learn about our strategic plan and to be able to get into the buildings and see. And I know that second one went very long, as you had a very long conversation with members of the public, but a huge, huge thanks, because that was in the middle of you preparing for your evaluation. December was just a really busy month, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. I know a lot of work goes into the logistics and setting that up. Ms. Haynes, your cabinet, everybody who had a hand in that, Mr. Birchwell, of course, just the grace and the willingness to be flexible and to be able to share important moments about our strategic plan, and show people our building so that we could really brag about all the great work that we're doing, not just in word, but in action. So I just wanted to say thank you again for making sure that was able to happen. And thank you for the gifts and Board Appreciation Month. Really appreciate it. I haven't looked at it, but I'm excited to see what I have.
Trustee Townsend's comments, so.
Oh, well.
Looks like we're going to see round two.
Okay, round two. I'm here for the. No. I can't wait to open it now. Okay. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, and I know that it's late in terms of comments. But just thank you to all the board members. Any other board comments before I turn it over to the superintendent? Dr. Zachary Ross.
Again, just welcome everyone to 2026. It's been a great year. It's Board Appreciation Month. I just want to again say thank you for your service, your willingness. We've talked about all these committees and dates, and yes, the only dates you have to vote on are the board meeting dates. So being flexible, if there's something that comes up, please let us know. We'll work to find alternative dates for those things that are already listed. Thank you for your service, because think about we started giving you all those times and dates because people would say, well, can we have it on this date? Then we have these other meeting dates, and especially several of the subcommittees are not our dates, like the Head Start and legislative. So we wanted to try to give you that full calendar. Upcoming, just real quick, because we have a January 26th meeting, so we did try to put that second one so that we can have that opportunity if there are more agenda items to add to a second meeting. But the IPSI versus Lincoln basketball game, I know people really look forward to that. That is this Friday at 6 p.m. So just lifting that up. You got invited on January 14th to the STEM night at Erickson, and then reminding people that there is no school in recognition of Dr. King Day on the 19th, on that Monday. That's why several Mondays are taken off. We got several holidays and school no days. So we're excited. We go Grizzlies. How about that? Go Grizzlies!
That's it, Dr. Zachary?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
We're going to meet again in 2 weeks.
That is touche. Indeed. All right. Anything else from the board before we move?
There will be dinner
Before
at
we
our
move
meeting.
to adjourn. Trustee Sutton Kennedy?
There will be dinner at our meeting in 2 weeks, so prepare to come in advance for some hopefully good food provided by
We won
the SFE group from the
last conference we
raffle
went
at the
to.
last conference. Remember we went to the
MASB.
the exhibit thing, and then I won that
Yes.
board dinner. So it's going to be it's scheduled for the next meeting date. Yes.
Yes.
And we're working on toward our next
26th.
meeting date. So prepare to come early. We're working on final details, which reminds me I have some questions for you, Julie, and Dr. Hawkins.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So we're cashing in on that free dinner. Looking forward to it. I felt like there was something else I needed to say, but I have forgotten. Oh, the 26th is also legislative breakfast in the morning. Okay, so that'll be a long day because we have a board meeting that day as well. So just as FYI. Hybrid, okay. All right, thank you. All right, seeing no other business before the board this evening, we are adjourned at 9:45 p.m.